Okay, so I'm really excited about this one. So what have you learned from relationships? So this is going to be kind of like an advice reading, but we're also going to take a look at possible future energies to see what it is that you will be learning or what's coming in for you. So 3 piles to choose from. The first 2 piles here are both from Radley Valentine, and they're kind of more, this is the fairy deck here. They're just kind of a little bit different. Y'all see when you get into the piles, but they're really awesome. This deck here, the fairy pile, is number 1. And then pile 2 is the Guardian Angel Messages Tarot. And then pile 3 is the Essential, what is it? The Essential Tarot. Yeah, that's it. And then there's a lot of different oracles I'm going to use to start. And then I also have some interesting kind of advice cards to use as well. So I'm really excited about this one. 3 piles here, guys. Pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. If you haven't voted on my 5-day giveaway starting starting December the 20th, y'all go do that because it's only going to be up there till the 10th, and then I'm going to take it down, okay? Okay, guys, 3 piles to choose from. Pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Timestamps will be down below, and I'll see you at your pile. Hey, pile 1. So if you chose the Fairy Tarot, this is going to be a reading. We're going to start with some oracle cards because I'm really excited about this one. Really excited about this one. So this one here is Work Your Light oracles, and we're going to use these to see kind of more of an overall message, to see what I can kind of pull about what it is you've learned. And then I also have some of the oracles of the shapeshifters, and we're going to use those to see where you are currently. And then I'm also going to pull some of the intuition oracles to kind of just get some more in depth. And then we'll get tarot, because tarot is going to be the harder part of the reading, I feel. Let's just see where you are currently. Pile 1, what have they learned in relationships? Here, for pile 1. What have they learned in relationships? That's a lot. You've learned a lot. There's 3 cards here. I'm actually going to take them, to be honest with you. I'm just going to put them over here, and then I'll read some of them, and then we will put some of them off the screen because I can't fit everything up here. It's hard for me to put the cards back, guys, that come out. At least look at them, you know. Okay. I know I just went totally quiet on you, but I'm trying to concentrate on this one. This one is where you are currently. Where are you currently? Relationships. Where are you at mentally in relationships currently? Okay, and then one more, and then I'll flip them all over. I notice not everybody sits here and waits for me to shuffle the cards. So I just want to give everybody an opportunity to get to hear everything I say about them. If you fast forward. Okay, we'll take them. There's 2 here. We have some Emperor energy here as well. Already saw it in the bottom of the deck as the Lovers, so we're going to keep that there. Okay, so let's see here. We have yes. Just say yes. That's interesting. We also have no. This is why they wanted me to keep all of them out. Wait, postpone, pause, and say no. Well, that's very interesting. Keepers of the earth, you are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. I get it. How funny. This gives me heavy, to be honest with you, actually this one here is like 3 of Cups for me, and then this one here is kind of like the Tower. Here I feel like it's more of a Hierophant energy. Interesting. A twist in tail. A twist in the tail. The unexpected, a change you did not see coming, number 34. Oh, that's significant because number 7 here is sitting right here, and it's the Lovers in this deck. Affirmation says, I attract love, abundance, success, happiness, and fulfillment. This came out in a reading I did not too long ago as a overall energy. There goes my voice already. Sorry, guys. I've been doing a lot of personal readings the past couple of days, and my voice is going away. Number 31, the partners. Affirmation, I keep my word and put my partnership first in all ways. Well, that's that's a dead giveaway right there, that card. And then here's that Emperor energy, which is also the number 4. So you have 44 here. Actually, you have 4 here too. So 444 is the number of, you may have been seeing that as a synchronicity for some of you, but it is actually a number that says that the universe is kind of protecting you and to really pay attention to your thoughts, which I think is some energy that you're in anyways here with yes and no, and then you have this keepers in the middle. What you didn't see coming. The unexpected, a change you did not see coming. There's a twist here in this Emperor energy. So either you're sitting in a place to where you're connecting with the divine masculine, or you are, and you didn't see that kind of coming, or you're sitting in a place to where something about, something about the way that you kind of connect with a divine kind of masculine energy in your life. So it doesn't have to be just a relationship. I think that's there too, but there's another part of this that you're kind of, it's a deeper understanding of what you've kind of been working on or kind of healing through. It has to do with a masculine in your life that was like a divine masculine. This divine, the word divine, guys, when I say that, when I'm talking about soulmates and stuff, it's someone that made a very profound effect in your life. It doesn't have to be something that's positive. It's just they made a profound effect on you in your life that made a shift or change in your life that's very significant. And there's a twist here behind that as well that has always been kind of part that you needed to focus on, or you needed to heal from, that you haven't exactly kind of wanted to untie that knot just yet. And there's something to do with that and this divine masculine that could be in your life that's a blockage there in some kind of way. This could also represent your divine masculine energy within yourself. So how you have come into union with yourself and how you feel like you're the side to you that is very strong-willed, the side to you that has a lot of that's goal-driven or has this just part about you is something that there's a wound there that you need to go back and look at or heal. And I think it's coming up, or you're going through currently. It's timeline's a little different for everybody, but it's something that you've been needing to straighten out for a while. There's something there, a feeling that's kind of, it's a feeling, guys. I know I'm going like way off here. Just stay with me if you can. It's important. There's like a feeling there, like deep under the surface. It's in the back of your like subconscious there. It's like a feeling that you hold over that person in your life, and it's a blockage for you when it comes to relationships. And it's something that if it's just like, it's like a cricket. It's like having a cricket in your house and you can hear it and you have to go like searching for it. It's something like that in your subconscious that you need to pull out about that person. So you need to like get a piece of paper and write down all the things that upset you. And the easiest way to do that with a person, guys, this is so awesome, okay? The easiest way to do that with a person is to make a list of what characteristics that you don't like about that person. And why? Or what you feel like that person is and why, where does that come from? And then you kind of have to go from that. Sometimes it helps to write it because it helps to heal what it is if you can remember that feeling that you feel of how you feel about that person and why and what characteristics you don't like. and then put next to it why. Why don't I like that? And then you go into more detail, okay? There's something there, guys. Could be a father. It could be for some of you, it's just someone that was around. I'm getting a special message now. For somebody out there, I don't know whose story this is, but it's very like singular. But for somebody out there, this was like this person that I'm talking about was one of the only people, masculine kind of energy, that leader kind of role, father figure type role in your life that you ever had. And it was for a very short period of time. And it was like you were, like your mom was single and they finally dated this one person, but something happened to this person, or they just kind of ghosted your mom, or they just left, or something to this nature. Something about that person is part of what you put on as representing a masculine energy to you, how you see them. And that right there is what you need to heal, because you're kind of carrying that label that you have on that person onto everyone else that you're in a relationship with. Oh my gosh, I had to really dig for that. That's somebody's story, okay? Hold on just a second. Let me get back to this. If you have a masculine in your life, guys, especially a divine masculine, that's a blockage in that relationship that would definitely, if you could heal that, would help so much. Okay, the Emperor. So this other person here that's coming up, I don't know if this is someone from your recent past. There's some kind of twist that's gone on in that connection, in that relationship, that you did not see coming. There's some kind of unexpected change in that relationship that you didn't think was going to happen, or you didn't see coming. This could have been something as small as this person coming back into contact with you, or as big as that, or something as small as you heard something about this person being with someone that now you're having to kind of relive some past wounds because of that. And that's something else that's kind of coming to the surface for you at this time, to heal past things from that relationship that you didn't kind of heal past. And for the ones of you that are in contact, and that was kind of a twist, there's something to do with your boundaries there and how your boundaries are fitting in that relationship. That's your trigger in that relationship, guys. If you feel like that boundary you feel like is hard to kind of where to keep where, what's happening is it's actually causing you to not be authentic to who you are. So be really careful about the boundaries that you set and how firm of boundaries those are. If you want to be able to connect with someone the way that you really want to connect with them, then you're going to have to kind of at least put down your boundaries just a little bit. That should be more like it shouldn't be such a barrier. It should be easier for someone to get through those. So when you're constantly placing that heavy boundary there, you don't have the ability to be able to allow people in. So you're not being authentic to what it is you want, and you're putting off the wrong impression. So you need to kind of just figure out how to feel more comfortable in a way of expressing yourself where you don't feel like you're going to get so putting yourself out there enough to get hurt. It's about authenticity, and I won't be surprised if it comes out in the cards. So these two energies here, I'm going to go through this really quick and then we'll read these. I want to read this real quick because I don't remember if I did. I am worthy of respect because I am respectful of all. And this, guys, for me, ties in so much more to that healing piece that is there from your past than it does to anything else. That's where it ties in for me. So I am worthy of respect because I am respectful of all. This is that wound from that person that was in your life that you need to look at. So put that affirmation next to that person and imagine how that makes you feel if you were to hear that person say this: I am worthy of respect because I am respectful of all. How, right now, what is that triggering? Does that make you feel angry if that person was to say something like that because that person does not deserve respect in some kind of way? Where's that coming from? Because that's any kind of fear or anger that's in you is part of something that needs to be healed or addressed. That's the darkness part, right? That's the darker parts. Why is that there? So you're going back and you're erasing things. It's like if you could see inside of your mind some kind of squiggly line, right? It's like you're going back and you're kind of erasing the squiggliness from your mindset, from your brain, so that you can see things completely clearly. And any of those feelings that come up, like anger, frustration, anxiety, stress, sadness, all this other stuff, not necessarily sadness to a certain extent, though. But anyways, I'm not going there. It's like all this stuff is triggers. Those are all these triggers to clear the static. So you just have to backtrack. Okay, I'm coming out of that for a second. The keepers of the earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. This right here, with yes and no next to it, is you having this understanding or this kind of awareness within you of trusting. And not just trusting in, having faith in the universe and God, whoever that is to you that you look up at. It's like this, having this faith that everything's in divine timing or everything's meant to happen in the way that it was. You're maintaining that, and I think that's really good. But there's also this kind of thing behind that that's about this yes and no can be a very strong kind of energy when it's coming to connecting with someone. Because that's where you don't allow something in. Friendship. This Three of Cups is friendship. It's coming together, but it's also about emotionally supporting one another. And this just say yes to me is more so spirit asking you to say yes to that kind of energy and knowing, and with this trusting and knowing that you want, that you have this faith that you have. But you also have faith in yourself. This is what I lost earlier. I was going to say, and I lost it. This is about you recognizing that you have faith within yourself of how far you've come, and that you know things different about yourself now, and you've made progress, and you've empowered yourself in that kind of way. It's something that you don't want to lose, and it's something that you find yourself constantly having to bring back into balance between that and pride, having too much pride in that empowering kind of energy. I worry about the way things are right now with all the empowerment kind of stuff that's going on, and which I think's great. But there has to be a balance there, and I think that sometimes with our boundaries and our labels and our not putting up with stuff and all this kind of stuff, it can go over the spectrum, and it can lead to a place that pride can start to rise, and along with some pride, it's not all bad. It's nice. It's good to have pride in things. It's a good feeling to feel, but it can go overboard just like anything else. And I feel like this empowering kind of space that we're in right now as a collective, if we kind of push that over, it can lead to that prideful place, and it can also lead to fear. And it's fear on self. It's fear that it creates a fear of being unworthy, not wanting that, because you have gotten to this point where you've empowered yourself so much. But you don't necessarily allow other things to happen to you so that you can evolve and change. You don't necessarily, you find yourself not wanting to take as much risk because you start to have that confidence within. It's hard, guys. You'll know the people that have found that perfect balance because they really have found a lot of success in their lives when it comes to how they've really focused on pride itself and how to balance pride. I feel like everybody has something that they have really accomplished in this life to adapt to and find a really awesome balance with. It's different for everybody, and sometimes it's not a positive thing. But with you here, it's almost like they're just saying you need to be kind of real careful about that. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a yes or a no. It can actually, yeah, that's it. It can actually sit more in like a maybe kind of energy. You can just pause. There can be a pause here, is what they're saying. To think about things a little bit longer before you kind of not allow yourself immediately to let a wall down at all. To pause. I think that some of you are so afraid of, you pay close attention to the destruction that this could cause, that a relationship itself could cause. So that's something else that's coming up, guys. So when you think about a relationship and you start to get really connected with someone, your mindset goes to a place to where you think about if there was a loss with that relationship being built the way that it is and the bond that you create. If there was a loss, what would that loss feel like? It's a trigger. It's associated to something that you need to heal, probably pertaining to some sort of abandonment wound, where you have been kind of left in a position where you really still needed someone, or you were relying on someone, or you really trusted someone that left you in a place to where you felt like you had no other way out, or you were just bare. That person just left you bare. It's like somebody leaving you naked in the woods, that you trusted or that you thought was going to comfort you or keep you safe in some kind of way, and they did the exact opposite of that. And it's a profound thing that affected you in a heavy way. But now when you get into relationships, when you start to build that relationship, you need to be very careful, because sometimes you can actually self-sabotage if you're anticipating the destruction, if you're already seeing what that would even look like and trying to make yourself comfortable with that. Sometimes when that happens, we can get really, really anxious, and we can start to develop not such good traits for a relationship. Jealousy, insecurities, fear. Fear turns into so many different things, and all those things are just like a spider web in our mind. And that can happen in a relationship if you have that abandonment wound here. So the fact that you're trying to stay into this faith energy is great, is what they're saying. Yeah, you should have faith, and that's great. But you also need to find that balance of how to allow people in with being able to feel connected with somebody and enjoy that connection, and have that connection without being fearful of losing that connection and that being an immediate tie to that. Because you're not capable of really ever being completely fulfilled, which is part of what this affirmation is here with the lovers. I attract fulfillment. In order to attract fulfillment, you have to know what that feels like. And if you're blocking that feeling out by fear or setting yourself up so you won't hurt as bad when that comes because you already have that mindset it's going to happen anyways, that's what you can actually create. It's a self-sabotage. So be real careful of that. Okay, this one I didn't read. Number 31, which is 3 is about growth, 1 is about new beginnings. And actually, you have 1, 2, and 3, and 4 here. So 5 and 6, then 7, which the lovers is 6 in tarot. So 5 is that change that I don't see. 5 is the number that I can't get. So 5 is about things changing, which is what this card says. The unexpected, a change you did not see coming. For some of you, this might have not happened yet. But for others of you, this is what I guess they're wanting to kind of talk about. Because I think that something happened here very unexpectedly to you and you weren't ready for that. And so this is why you've kind of been, it's almost like you feel like you're kind of being tested in some kind of way. But it's not a test. It's more of they're wanting you to enjoy it as well, is what I'm saying. They want you to kind of find fulfillment and what that looks like. We'll get into tarot to see what that means, but it says the partners, number 31. I keep my word and put my partnership first in all ways. This is more for me, guys. It's connected with that prideful kind of energy. Guys, I want to say something before I get tarot. This is interesting. If you're putting what you want and you desire and you feel like you deserve, that's a kind of a prideful kind of energy in a way. But if you're putting that impression onto someone else, it's almost not fair. I'm going to tell you why. Now, hold on a minute. Listen. That person has not, lived your life, have the same understanding you do in relationships, experience the same things as you have, and they could have been someone that experienced something on a very opposite end of what you have. And if you connect with somebody, that's something that person can kind of teach you by looking at that through their eyes and the way they're seeing things, so that you can kind of build and develop a better learning altogether of relationships. We can learn through other people if we're closely connected with those people. And if you're saying I'm only going to put up with what not what you deserve, I'm not saying that. It's about I'm only going to put up with what I feel like I should have respect over, whatever. If I'm respectful, they should be respectful to me and this and that. But have you always been respectful to everyone? I mean, has there been times in your life, if you're honest with yourself, where you felt like you were being a little disrespectful and you felt bad? Could that happen with someone else that you're closely connected with? Now, I'm not talking about big, huge, profound things. I'm just talking about something that you can work out and clear out. You just have to be really careful with that prideful energy. It can really block out the relationships in your life, and that's not what they want for you. They want you to say yes. They want you to say yes to relationships. Okay, so let's get some tarot. Oh my gosh, I was so excited about this reading, guys. This is like way different from what I thought it was going to be like, and I really like how it's coming together, and I hope that I'm making sense to everybody. Because there's a lot of channeling going on. Okay. It is pretty crazy that y'all have the 3 cards that say partner, the Emperor, and the Lovers. So This is about you building, so for some of you, a relationship with someone. What does that look like? This is about advice on that. So I'm not going to take reversals in this deck unless I feel called for some reason, okay? So what else can you tell us for pile 1? What have they learned in relationships? The Queen of Pentacles. Taurus energy. I'm kind of laughing because that's Venus. So that's relationships. That's love. So generosity, stylish, gracious, and practical. Be practical with respect to how you proceed. The ability to make anything more beautiful, meeting someone who can help your dreams come true. This is about you being practical about what you expect, I think, from if you're with someone or from someone else. And this is why they wanted me to talk about that prideful kind of energy and that blockage that you're creating for yourself with not allowing someone to come in into a relationship or get closer to you. Having that too prideful energy is something that they're wanting to talk about. So this is about generosity for me and being practical and being, especially where it says the ability to make anything more beautiful, and be practical with respect to how you proceed forward. So be practical when it comes to respect. So respect is coming up. And again, the divine masculine, that wound there with that leadership kind of energy, that wound that's there with that masculine in your life in some shape or way, that can't talk, that has been in your past. That's your blockage there, and this is why this is all coming up, because it's about that person and that person's respect and what you feel like is respect and how strong it is. Needs to be balanced. Okay, let's just keep going. I can't go through all these like that. So we have the Knight of Cups, the Prince of Summer. Romantic, captivating, dramatic, and flirtatious. Falling in love suddenly. This is kind of that twisted tale. A twist in the tale. The unexpected change that you did not see coming. Could be this falling in love suddenly. Look at that. The Three of Cups. This is important here. Saying yes to this connection, or opening yourself up to this supportive kind of group, this supportive kind of space or energy that's here for you. News worth celebrating, announcements such as weddings, graduations, and births, friends you cherish. And that's what this is about. Allowing yourself to have that emotional support with friends that you cherish, with people that care about you. What else have you learned? The Eight of Water, the Eight of Swords. This is that being trapped in your own headspace that we kind of talked about. You have what it takes if only you believe in yourself. And there's a little bit of this thinking that you're powerless when you're not, and a lack of self-confidence that keeps you from getting what you want. Yeah, this is that more self-sabotaging kind of energy that I felt earlier. It's attached to that abandonment kind of wound there in a way, because you're seeing yourself in a way of being unworthy, where I don't even think that you recognize. And it's because it's coming from that overly prideful place, guys. It's that backfire of that being overly prideful kind of place, and how that can backfire. It can flip if you don't remain in balance with that. And part of that is putting your own self in the highest light possible, that you're not allowing other people in, because they may not be kind of, it's almost like they don't say and do the right things around you, so you kind of just block that person out. I feel like everyone in this world has something to teach us. And even if it's teaching us what not to do. You know, it doesn't matter. It's just everyone's, I feel like, a teacher. But anyway, this is about you keeping yourself from getting too far into that mindset to where you start to develop all those anxieties about what you deserve and what you're owed in some kind of way. There's something to do with that there that you need to look at. And now, for some reason, they want me to say, everybody loves differently. Everybody sees love differently. This is the way I like to reference it because I think it makes total sense to me. But if you're born looking at a word and saying, that's what I said the other day. Well, seeing love and saying Louvre, you know, that's just the way you've always said it. That's the way you pronounce it. That's what that word is. And then meeting somebody and they say, that's not how you say that word. That's a relationship. And that's when you're with someone. And not everybody's going to see love in the same way. There should be certain kind of values there, of course, but not everybody's going to see it in the same way. Just depends on what you've experienced. This is an understanding that you need to really come into that would help you a lot with allowing yourself to let other people in. It's not that you don't accept people for who they are. You do. I think that you have a really good heart for others and caring for others. It's your insecurity. It's about making yourself secure and stable and not putting yourself in a place where this abandonment's going to come up, where it's going to hurt, where it's going to affect you in that kind of way, not wanting to experience that. It's almost like a defense mechanism that you place, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. Where you're telling yourself that person just wasn't good enough, or that person just wasn't this and wasn't that, or whatever. But there's a part of you that really pushed that person away because you had that fear of losing them in the first place. This is what you're learning about. I feel like this is what you're learning about yourself. I don't know if you've necessarily came into that much of awareness with it yet, but it is what you're learning here. Now you have this Prince of Swords. Prince of Swords. This is intellectual, determined, focused, and impulsive. You may be someone that finds yourself kind of impulsive when it comes to, this is attached to that pride kind of one, guys. Again, this is someone that when someone pushes on that button, that respectful button that you have, that big old giant one that you're carrying around, when someone pushes on that button, just like a little tiny bit, you find yourself very quick to kind of respond from that area, from that feeling that you feel of that pride, of that respect. You find yourself very quick to respond to it. And you see in relationships how that has not worked for you very well. And that's something that you're trying to change, I feel like, now. And it could have something to do with this relationship that you're currently in and how that has been a factor in that relationship, or how it is a factor in the relationship. Could be something that you're actually learning about yourself. Because these two kind of tie in together here for me. I mean, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice because I wasn't looking at the picture yet. I was just channeling. You have this, it's the same thing. It's this white ferret. Now that's pretty wild because that is rare. You don't see a white ferret like that very often in these cards. That's insane. How awesome. That's awesome. And not only that, but it says the unexpected, a change you did not see coming. And it literally says on this card, sudden or unexpected changes. Right there below it. Isn't that an awesome sync, guys? Awesome. Okay, anyway, there's something rare here also that I have to say because that did come up. In a twist in the tail. For some of you, this has to do with the something about this person and the way that they kind of express themselves to you if you're connected with somebody. This person, the way that they're coming across is maybe something that you didn't expect. Especially with their mental space. There's something that you like about this person is the determination that they have, or this focused energy that they have, especially when it comes to, oh, okay, I gotcha. The thing that attracts you with I think this certain person in particular, but it could be anybody. But the things that attract you here, I think with this person in particular, because this is the unexpected, this is what you don't see, or this is what you didn't recognize about this person, is that they have this ability to be focused in sudden or unexpected changes. And it's something that you're drawn to that, because that's something that you don't have, is that's one of the reasons why you feel so drawn to this person in the way that you do, is because they have this ability to adapt to sudden or unexpected changes, and the need to act quickly and decisively. They have this way of doing that, that you want to kind of develop, that you want to kind of understand. Some of you, this is what you have learned with a past relationship or in a current relationship. What else am I missing? This Queen of Pentacles. For some of you, this is the way that you see yourselves. Like I said before, you really have yourself on the high light. But for others of you, this is how you're recognizing or seeing someone else, or someone that's very close to you. Wanting to show respect or have respect for that person is something that's important, I think, for you. But then there's a feeling of also feeling, how odd of a feeling is that? It's a feeling of putting someone on a pedestal, or putting someone in a certain kind of light to where you have respect for that person, but you also feel like it makes you feel kind of beneath that person in some kind of way. You don't like the way that feels, but it's because you have that person you've placed them there instead of on an equal balance place. Instead of putting yourself equal to this person, you have placed them there. And then sometimes I think that you feel like that person has something over you, or they say things or do things that trigger you in a way of making you feel insecure in some kind of way. And the thing is that you've actually mentally placed that person up there. It's not so much that person feels that way and it's just telling you that, unless they are, that's a different story. But it's that this person you've put them in that higher light instead of putting them equal to you, and that's why it's triggering you in the way that it is. It's about you putting yourself beneath that person and not allowing yourself to be equal. And this Three of Cups is a card of having that equal friendship, having that that you both see that there is value or worth in that connection, in that relationship. And that's an equal, it's an equal relationship, a friendship. One of the reasons friendships last so long is because it's equal on both sides. You both want to see each other. You both want to spend time together. You both like each other. You both want to be around each other. You enjoy each other's company. You are not going to have a friend very long where you find that they start getting a little annoying. You start to get to a point where you don't like them that much. Or you don't ever miss that person, you should. You should. And the only friends that I have in my life are friends, really. I have well, that's not completely true, but I have like 3 people in my life, guys, really, that have been my friends since I was really, really young, like really little. And we all just like each other so much because we keep coming back to each other. But it's not always been the case. I've been through friendships, that were quick. And me and those people can pick up where we left off. We can not talk to each other for months and just pick right back up where we left off. It's a great relationship. This is what Spirit kind of wants for you, that you aren't allowing yourself to have because you're not putting yourself on that same as someone. Either you have to be above that person, or you see yourself above that person, or you see yourself beneath that person in some kind of way, whether that's outside of yourself or inside of yourself. There's an insecurity there, and you're not allowing yourself to see that person on the same equal level. So your relationships aren't ever really completely authentic because of that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not gonna get too far into that. Anything else that I'm missing here? Well, thanks. The 4 of Swords. Set aside your concerns for now. You can make a decision later. Solutions that come from meditation. The need for more sleep or a vacation. This is telling you to take a break from this. This really, it's tied in for me with this card here, because it says wait, postpone, pause, say no. This is really important, I feel like. Spirit's really wanting you to kind of, and especially now and the seasons that we're in now, it's usually the seasons of, staying more at home or being closer to our friends, our family, that kind of things, just kind of having this resting period before the fall comes, and then the Pentacles are here, and before we know it, we have spring, and new things start to come out. I think they're giving you a timeline about if you're in a relationship currently, when things will shift or change outside of this. There'll be something that happens kind of outside of the relationship that's going to provide a shift or change for you. So there's no need to even kind of be thinking about concerns of the future. You can make that decision kind of later because it's not going to matter. There's something that's going to take place in the spring, I feel, that's going to cause a shift regardless anyways. So what they're saying here is, again, there's an energy here. If you are connected with someone if you aren't, I'll tell you about that in just a second. But if you are, there's an idea to set your concerns to the side and have this 3 of Cups kind of energy that's here, and allow yourself, if this is what you want, to experience an emotional experience is what you want, then to allow yourself to kind of be in that and not keep yourself in this 8 of Swords. And too quick about things, too logical about things, too impulsive about communication or anything like this, trying to make a decision so quick and decide on things so quick, or how things are gonna go for you. All this kind of stuff is coming to mind. So in order to proceed forward, in order to move this thing forward, they're telling you to be in this 4 of Swords energy and allow yourself to rest or have a vacation. Solutions will come is what they're saying here. All you have to do is trust. Okay, so let's get some advice. I'm excited about the advice because I put some special cards for it that I love. I'm excited to use them. They are the empowering questions and then drive. These are the drive oracles. What's that doing in there? Okay, so if you're interested, I think it's called Joyadora. Joyadoria. That's cute. So they're on Amazon. Okay, so what do we need to know here? What advice do you have for pile 1? Okay, these are funny, guys, sometimes. If you didn't fight for what you want, don't cry for what you've lost. Yeah. So this goes back into allowing yourself to sabotage your situation and then going back and saying, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. You manifested that perfectly, didn't you? You know, it's that sabotage kind of energy of, did I do that? Did I do that? Was that me? It's something that doesn't come till way later. And then you feel like it's just something that you predicted, but it could be that you are literally self-sabotaging here. If you didn't fight for what it was that you wanted in the first place because you were too afraid to lose that or take that risk, that thought even came to mind, then they're saying, you know, don't cry for what it was that you've lost, because you weren't willing to fight for it when you did have it. You were more focused on the future of things and how that was going to work out. You weren't in the experience itself. If you were in the experience itself, in the emotional experience for sure, but if you were in the experience itself and allowing yourself to have this union energy here, this connection, then you can't build up animosity later for that person, for you not, if you didn't cherish that in that kind of way, because you were too afraid to lose it, and then you started to develop all those fears. This is kind of what this is insinuating, you know. These are hollies that are here on this card, and it ties into this card. That's why they put them here. Holly, I know this because my name's Holly, so you know I've looked this up for sure. Holly represents a strength and endurance because they withstand the coldest of temperatures, right? Like other plants can't. And you have this strength inside of you. This is what they're saying as advice, is what you need, is to turn that pride into that ability to have that strength to experience good times, experience good connections and honest and open connections, and have this and build strength with those regardless of what could happen. Even if it doesn't work out, even if it becomes a destructive energy, it's here in this moment in time for a reason. And they're just saying you have to look at the way that you have strength with vulnerability and strength with being patient with yourself throughout this time, allowing your guard down a little bit so you can allow in relationships. It's like wanting something so bad and then getting it and then being too afraid to have it because you don't want to lose it. It's like finding a car or knowing that you've always wanted this one car. You know, I've always wanted this car so bad. Finally, I'm able to get it, but now I'm just scared to get it because what if something happens to it? What if I scratch it? What if it doesn't start? What if, you know, you start to develop all these crazy scenarios in your head, and then you forgot why you were even wanted it in the first place, because it's just gonna be a big ball of anxiety sitting in the driveway. You know what I mean? It's that kind of energy with relationships. I'm not taking all that. Absolutely not. I will take that one. The darkest nights produce the brightest stars. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's in those moments of close connections and deep bonds, and then you develop more and more understanding about things. It's in those moments that you create, in that loss itself as well, is moments that you create that brightest star. You create that strength, that adaptability to allow yourself to be open and free in life, in relationships, and enjoying them just for the joy of having them. Anything else with this? Yes. They gave me 3. I'm going to read them all, and then we're going to get some empowering question cards, and you know we're going to get a postcard from Spirit. Absolutely. Oh, there's one that I missed. Let's see what oh no, that's that card. Okay. So we have if you don't start thinking outside the box, it may eventually become your coffin. It's perfect for you guys. It's exactly what I was talking about. You know, you're gonna, at one point, obviously you're gonna pass, and we all do transition at some point. And at that point, you could be thinking in your head, what a life I had, what a great experience I had, what all have I accomplished? Look at all the close relationships. That impression that you leave on others is going to be the impression that lasts forever. Not the things that you leave. It's the impression that you leave that's the biggest, most valuablest thing. The impression. Guys, I've lost a lot of people in my life, and I can tell you, beyond everything that they've ever left me, it's the impression that they left on me. Whether that was something good or something bad, you know, it's that impression that has lasted my lifetime forever. Even I can, you know, even now, things that I think about are things that I do, and especially when it comes to relationships and learning and just everything, it's an impression from whoever that was that was left when they left, you know, that doesn't leave anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. You don't forget about that. And that's what you leave behind. This is kind of what they're saying here. If you don't have this relationship, these close relationships, or build any of those experiences in that kind of way, eventually, in a way, it's lost. You know? Don't let your soul leave this world without giving bits and pieces of it to everybody else. It's about that impression. Opportunity may knock only once, but temptation leans on the doorbell. In an instant, you may feel very tempted by outside influences that is coming from a place where you feel like you want it really, really bad and really, really suddenly. Those are the things that you really need to be worried about. Those are the things that you need to be nervous about. It's when an opportunity comes to your door and knocks once, and it sits and waits for you. That's a golden opportunity. That's a big opportunity. That's something that doesn't come along very often. And if you're not to the door fast enough, it could go away. That opportunity could be gone. If you have someone that is kind of, usually if they're coming in very quickly, then they're probably exiting in the same fashion. You know what I mean? It's that kind of happens. That happens. You feel like sometimes in relationships, and this isn't the case, I feel like, for everybody, but for you guys, it's coming up. Relationships that happen in our lives that go very quickly. Like it's just like changes so fast. The relationship grows so quickly. Sometimes those people aren't meant to be in our lives for very long, because they can go out just as fast as they came in. I don't know why I'm getting that from this card, but there is a energy here of knowing that all those little moments with those little relationships don't add up to the biggest one here, the golden opportunity that's waiting. And if that's something that's been continuous, or that's something that's been always there in a certain kind of way, that's something that's going to stay. And don't compare the two things. I think that's really important, not to compare those two things. If that message is only going to resonate for a couple of you, and you'll know if that was your message, okay? But for some of you, this is something that's coming in. So they're saying be careful about comparing it to other relationships. You should know the difference and not get in your head about it. If it's different, you should know that it's different. Especially if it's like an emotional type of thing. Or a deeper thing. You feel relationships and there's differences. They're wanting you to look at the emotional kind of differences that are there. And the impulsiveness behind that, or the development of it. Okay. It's like the Knight of Pentacles energy. He's that one knight you can depend on. He takes his time and he's slow, but he stays there. He's steady. He's determined. Let your hopes, not your hearts, shape your future. Hurts, not hearts. Let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your future. But what was I thinking there when I said hearts? Oh, not the pain that's on your heart, shape your future. This is what I was talking about here, kind of with that. Hopes of having something great, hopes of being able to develop something great in your life, in a relationship, and not your heart, the pain on your heart, allowing that to be what shapes what you want for your future. Goes ties into this opportunity and temptation, guys. Okay, so empowering question card for pile 1. How or in what way do I experience myself when I'm alone? This is about you building that relationship with yourself and allowing yourself to build up that authenticity, of who you are. What was I intended to do in this life? So this is something that they're wanting you to look at, or maybe reevaluate what you feel like you were, what you represent to other people. Like that list that we talked about that person, to write down what you don't like about that person. What would other people write down about you? Because that's the impression that you're leaving. It's not going to resonate for everybody, but it is just an exercise that I think is a good exercise. What is trying to be a better person? It's always a good exercise, right? What is my worst fear? How does it limit my possibilities in life? This is that fear, guys, that's here. You really need to look into that. You really need to dive into that. What gives me great joy? I wasn't going to take that, and then before I put it down, I was like, look at the bottom. Look at the bottom. And I think that's really relevant, because that's what we talked about with you just allowing yourself to enjoy relationships. Allowing yourself to enjoy when you have them fully, not just off the top, It's like getting an ice cream cone and just eating the cherry off the top, but not eating the whole ice cream. It's like, why not dive into the whole thing? You got it. So it's with you here at this moment in time. Why not enjoy it, to the fullest, instead of being so afraid of losing it. Postcard from Spirit, please. Postcard from Spirit. Okay. You are... Wait. What does that say? You shine brightly. I couldn't read that. It took me forever to figure that out. It's kind of like... Anyway. Dearest you, all your prayers are heard and married back to you from the unseen realms. Ooh, this is a good one for you guys. Be grateful, praise things before they manifest, and always ask for the highest good. Yeah, that's a good way out of it. And I have to stop here first to say this. That's a good way out of your own mindset. If you can't figure out what it is you really want, if you're looking at the future too much and it's causing that, what we talked about, there, anxieties and fears and stuff start to rise, just ask for whatever's for the highest good. Just let me have this experience, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen for my highest good regardless. That's faith. That's trusting, right? Okay. Sorry, I had to say that before I forgot. When you plead and beg, that will bring you only more reasons to plead and beg. Instead, offer your prayers as sacred gifts, as a testament to your faith in the higher power. Open up and let Spirit move through you and comfort you. Add meditation as a way to become empty so that you will be ready to be filled with inspiring epiphanies, peace, understanding, and joy. Yeah. In this moment, your prayers are being answered for your highest good of both you and all life. Sometimes what you pray for is not supposed to happen for you, and your prayers will be answered in surprising ways, which is this unexpectedness that we keep seeing. At this moment, we are listening intently to your prayers and want you to know that your highest good is our priority. All is well. Yep. Yep. Where you are is where you're meant to be. Where you are currently is where you're just meant to be, no matter where that is. And you just have to figure out why you're there. And then once you figure out why you're there, you can go on. You can move forward. You can get past things. You know, you can, but you have to let yourself have that experience to begin with. Otherwise, what are you doing there? Listen, wake up to it. Meditate. This is the third time meditation's come up. It came up in this card. Add meditation as a way to become empty so that you will be ready to be filled with the inspired epiphanies, peace, understanding, and joy. So what gives you great joy? Think about that in meditation. It's a way to kind of release yourself from all that other stuff that you're feeling that's keeping you from being able to have these experiences when they come. Be supportive. This is that Three of Cups energies, guys. This is supporting one another. This is a call for you to be supportive. And relationships, be authentic to that and true to that, because that's who you are. You are a supportive energy. You're a supportive person. Get what I want. See, this is that prideful kind of energy that's here that you need to, it's a red flag, guys. It's right there. Look at that. Peace. Peace and joy. Rest, relax, and relief. And is this thought useful? This brings me back to this Four of Swords energy here, to set aside your concerns for now, and you can make a decision later. Solutions that come from meditation. There's the other meditative energy I saw. Be supportive and quit trying to just gain what it is that you want, and kind of step into that space and find that balance. That's where peace will come. And when thoughts come up, think about if those thoughts are useful for you. So we have 5. We found the 5. It's in the bowl. How funny. And 5 is that change. 5 is the number we were missing in the beginning. It's about all this change that's coming. It came so unexpectedly. But 8 is about mastering that skill of when things change fast. And this is why this person's here purposefully at this moment for you, this moment in time, is to help you adapt to these changes. So I don't know if that's because I feel like for some of you, something's going to happen significant in your life that's going to kickstart or jump or propel you in a different kind of direction in your life. But it's going to happen quickly. And I think this person is someone possibly that's meant to be around you to help you with that in some kind of way, that help you to make better decisions when that time does come. It's just for some of you guys, and that's just if you're connecting with someone now, and if you feel like that's someone that can teach you something like that. You'll know. Just listen to your intuition here. We also have X being at that crossroads. Q, U, Y, L. We have cry here, and I want to go ahead and say this before I forget. If you cry at night, or I don't know why I say that, at night. Maybe you don't want anybody else to kind of see this energy. But if you kind of get upset, or you get sad, or you cry, or whatever that is, don't be afraid of that. That is those emotions that you're holding back, letting themselves out. You know, you have to let that stuff out. Think of it like a toxic, toxic air that's inside of you. You have to get that out of you, or if you don't, it's just going to kind of develop all those not so great feelings. There's such a benefit into releasing, into crying. It's like when you feel anger and you have to like get it out of you. You feel like it's just, you have to release it, whether that's yelling or punching or whatever. For those of you who don't know, I have Bob my big punching guy in the garage, and I use that. It helps to get it out. It's bad to leave it in. Always in a healthy way, though. Okay. As some people just like putting on some crazy music and just listening to that and screaming and yelling, and that's fine too. L-A-I. We have another A. Lots of A's lately. M or W. E, K, Y, key. There's a key. That's the key. J and Y. One of the keys to being able to experience joy here is to have this realization that you're in the place that you're meant to be for a reason. You're here for a reason. That's really what's key here, is knowing that you're in this particular place for a certain kind of reason. And I also see Lisa in the bowl. I don't know why they want me to point that out, but you're in this particular place for a reason, and you need to make the best out of it. There it is. There's a key here you're not seeing because you have all this other stuff that's going on around you. Lay that down. What else? Sorry guys, I'm looking. Scars. Scar. You may have a really big scar from your past that you've been really, there's still some kind of anger associated with that you've had a hard time addressing. Okay guys, I'm gonna hold this up. So I hope you enjoyed this very long reading. I was gonna do an extended to this, but then I thought, yeah, this is just, I feel like this is kind of advice and you shouldn't have to pay for it. You know what I mean? I think that this is very important to know how you've kind of, what you've learned from relationships. And this came out in a very different way than I expected. So hope it resonates for you guys. If you haven't voted on my 5-day giveaway, it's still up on my community post. It will be up till the 10th. Please go vote, because it's so like, some of them are very, very close together. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see. So yeah, please go vote if you haven't. And thanks for the ones that have. And I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for all your love and all your support and kindness. I hope this helps you guys moving forward. And I hope to see you soon. Hey, Pile 2. So if you chose the Guardian Angel Message Oracles or Tarot, then this is your reading. We're going to set those aside. I'm going to go ahead and pull some oracles here. First ones are going to be the Work Your Light. We're going to get one of these to kind of get an overall energy of what is it that you've learned so far in relationships. So I do feel like relationships are an ever-evolving kind of thing. What you experience and what you go through and what you kind of bring out of that moving forward onto the next kind of situation, kind of what you carry. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Kind of all the aspects of all that I feel like play a role in relationships. And I think that that's ever evolving because we all kind of see the world differently. So you're going to learn different things being in relationships with different people. And this doesn't just have to be roles as far as a intimate relationship with someone romantically. This could also be just having that intimate relationship with anybody, or just any relationship. So what's the overall of what you want to tell us about Pile 2 here, Spirit? What's the overall about Pile 2? Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? So you're getting to this position in your life to where you can really, learn how to really protect yourself, and when you should and when you shouldn't kind of let your guard down, or build a way to better appreciate things while maintaining some kind of ability to recognize things that aren't good for you. Ability when to recognize that there's something that is not good for you. This is what you have kind of learned in relationships, and trusting on that path of what you've learned and how far you've come, that you'll know like how to kind of keep moving forward. If you know that you would be supported, what would you do? This was one of the very first affirmations that has ever came to me that I repeated all the time. I think it's important to kind of put that idea out there as a starting point of realizing what it is that you really want in your life. If you knew that you would be 100% supported, what would you do? What would you choose? If you knew there wouldn't be anything that you would have to come to face with or deal with, what would it be that you chose? And that's your starting point to understand how you feel about something. We have a snake princess. The serpent path to power. So there's a question here about, I feel like, authenticity with yourself. Yeah, the number 18, little wolf girl, it's all right to be alone. This is moon energy, and I'm going to keep it out. I also see 42 here, which just reminds me, to be honest, with the lovers. 6, which is, I'm bringing that up because it's so odd. Pile 1 had a card that was of the lovers as well. And this is just pertaining to relationships and how you see relationships and how you value. What are your value? What do you value in a relationship? What are you really seeing as being of value? Because whatever it is that you've kind of learned here about yourself, you see a value in something. When you see a value in something, that's how you decide, really, then and there, if something is worth putting in time and effort into and why that is. And I think that's really important for you here, and what you've kind of really gathered ultimately is that when you look at a relationship, you see what is the thing that you value there in that relationship. What is it that you see as something that you want to hold on to or not let go of? And I think that's how you see whether or not you want to even get into something with someone. It's like recognizing someone's patterns or wounds in a way. And I did get like a heavy light worker kind of energy here with Star Mother. But there is something to do with Mother Mary may also be significant to somebody. I have to say that. There's something to do with being able to recognize other people's poison, being able to see other people's poison, other people's kind of shadows and their patterns in a certain kind of way, and recognizing that as a gift, but also seeing that as something that, could that be something that's preventing you from being able to have those experiences with those individuals? And how to break that down into what it is that you could value there in that relationship. What it is that you could, are worth sticking around, worth staying with, worth going through that person with. What is it about that is most valuable to you? It's like, what are you getting out? What are you getting in return? And how does that sit? There's an idea around your own authenticity over here about the Snake Princess, of how you're being actually seen in relationships as the serpent path to power. Like, how are you being seen to others is something I think is kind of really important to you, maybe almost too important to you. That can kind of keep you more stuck in relationships for longer than what needs to be. And I think that's something that you're kind of tapping into. These are, so I was going back through here, guys, making sure I didn't miss anything. Some of you, you're on your way to a new level of understanding about something. Guys, for some of you, you're sitting in a position where you're on your way to understanding something about a situation that you may be currently kind of in. And you're getting to a point to where you're fixing to make this decision One way is going to be more difficult than the other, but you need to understand that the way that you're headed currently, the thought process, the way you're thinking about things mentally is what you need to kind of focus on. How you're thinking about things mentally in this is something that you're needing to kind of focus on, but your feet are headed in the other direction. So you need to be, God, this is hard for me to say. You need to understand what your level of protection is here, what you feel like is your level of protection for you. And being true to who you are. This is what this reading kind of pertains. This side message here for some of you, this "it's all right to be alone," number 18. For some of you, this is something that you're kind of telling yourself, but you don't necessarily believe in that. With this moon energy, it's like you're kind of deceiving yourself and thinking that it is okay for you to be alone, but you don't feel comfortable there. You don't feel, I don't think that you feel good to be alone. You're someone that has to and needs to connect with others in a deep way. And I think that you're trying to kind of be someone that you're not. You don't like being you're not someone that likes being in relationships that don't have a density to them. They don't have some kind of a build or certain kind of, it's like, I'm visualizing a sponge, guys, and the sponge being soaked and so full of water, which would be emotion, that it's kind of dripping from the sides. And not having that and being a dried up kind of sponge is something that, without the emotions involved so deeply, is something that's quite complete opposite of what you actually want for yourself. And you're trying to fit yourself into a scenario that's could be not as emotionally fulfilling to some aspect, and you're not being honest with yourself about the realization of that and how that's actually affecting you. You're not being authentic to that. You're kind of in a position to where I feel like you're almost playing a role that's not necessarily who you are or what you want to be currently. And that's going to resonate for only some of you. But it has to do with relationships. Trying to be and represent yourself in a certain kind of way in a relationship when it's not really authentic to who you really are. You are this emotional self, you know. Even if this is something that you disagree with about yourself, that you don't like about yourself, or something that you feel like you need to control or kind of temper in some kind of way, it's a representation of who you are as a person. And there's a lot of emotional side to you. That part is definitely something that's there. And kind of learning how to adapt to that yourself, I think, is a big part of this. Learning to love that part about yourself is a big part of this, because a lot of the times I feel like the disconnect that you're feeling here is not so much focused on this other person not giving you that. It's what you're not allowing yourself to have for yourself, and it's reflecting on that relationship. So if you mirror this person, and if you're not showing your true essential side of who you are in a relationship and the emotional side to that, because you don't feel like you don't like that about yourself and you're holding that back. I can't have all these emotions. You want to feel that way. You want to express that, and you're holding that back. You're not being completely authentic to who you are, and you're not appreciating or loving that side to yourself. And so that person's going to counter-react what you're giving them. Does that make sense? So that person's only going to know to love you a certain kind of way, or to express themselves to you a certain kind of way, or to give you certain kind of emotion, because that's all you kind of allow for yourself to have, to feel. I think there's a fear associated with that. You're afraid to be yourself. in a relationship. Whew, that one, guys, that one was a big one. Feel that emotion. So let's focus on it. Let's see what affirmations they have for you guys. I'm gonna get a drink of coffee real quick. The intuition oracles. Let's get some affirmations. The traumatized. Number 44. Y'all ready for this? It's fixing to get real deep when the healing comes, okay? Just take some deep breaths here. Okay. I'm gonna read this card to you. Affirmation. You ready? The acknowledgement that I have been traumatized, but also that I am healing. Does that not just like hit you right in the heart? I mean, does that not just hit you in the gut from what we just got done talking about? This is about you being patient with yourself and having compassion for yourself. For not allowing after this feeling here. So you see what I'm saying? We went from this emotional response, I feel like, in this reading, from this loving yourself kind of energy here, being authentic to who you are. Not being yourself, feeling like you can be yourself in relationships. How that kind of hit you in the teeth. You know, for a minute, to go into the traumatized and having that acceptance for that, for yourself, and having compassion for yourself with, I acknowledge that I have been traumatized, but also that I am healing. I mean, that was just like another kick to the gut, you know? And this is about you creating what looks like stability to you in a relationship. I think that that's really key here for you to being authentic to who you are. If you're not being 100% authentic to who you are in a relationship, you're actually drawing the image or the picture of who you want that person to imagine you to be. And there's not a fulfillment that's under that for you. It's an illusion. It's only an illusion. And over time, you will get to be able to where you cannot create that person anymore, because the soul is the soul, and that's all it's ever going to be. It's not changing. It's who you're meant to be. It's who you are inside. And there's no denying it. You know, you can deny it, but there's no internal denying of who that is. And those insecurities at some point come out in relationships, and they come out in ways to where you know that that's like that trigger in your face to showing you that there's a reason that you're feeling the way that you are. And it comes from being traumatized in relationships. It comes from going through traumatizing relationships and being restricted, or making yourself feel restricted, or not being able to have control in a situation, or literally even as, you know, as a child, seeing kind of traumatized relationships, what effect that has had on you. And being that you've been adaptable to how other people's emotions are has actually kept you from being completely authentic to who you are in such a way. It's something that needs to kind of be looked at, needs to be focused and healed on, is how that has kind of created a stability of how you take action, progress, how you accomplish things in relationships, and the sensation or feeling that you get from that. instead of being completely all true and authentic to who you are, because you're trying to adapt to the other person's emotional space. And you're not allowing yourself to into that. You're adapting yourself to the other person, and it's all one-sided in that way. The identity of you, this person, in this relationship, it's not balanced. When your authenticity is sitting over here, but if you're only, confronting yourself so much, you're only putting so much of yourself out there, there's so much more to you. Oh, guys, there's so much more to you here when it comes to this emotional abundance that you have, that's unique and that's different, that you carry, that you're not seeing as valuable to yourself. It's a feeling of not many people are capable of carrying this much emotional space within. And you could be a heavy water sign, but this is you have this capability of containing it for a reason. It's like the ocean has the capability of containing a whole bunch of different kinds of animals because they are the ocean. That's their job. That's what they're meant to do. And you have this they are. I don't know why I'm saying it in that way, but that's interesting. The oceans. Maybe that's why. Anyways, you have this capability. You have this inside of you, but you're not expressing it to the fullest. You're holding yourself back. You're not allowing yourself to be authentic to who you are. And then maybe when you are, it comes out in a way that because you don't allow yourself to be that person, it comes out in a way that's distorted emotionally. Y'all don't understand what I'm saying? Okay. Sovereignty. I am my authentic self, and no one has dominion over me, guys. Isn't that awesome? And this is the number 43, so it's like the next level here from 42 to 43, and then you have 44 here, which I don't think is coincidental either. 4 is that number 444 here, by the way, which means to pay attention to your thought. Did I say that at the beginning of your reading? Did I say the number 444? Why do I think that I did? Maybe that was pile 2. I swear that I said it. I'll have to go back and look. But anyway, synchronicities. It means that you need to pay attention to your thoughts and why you are a certain kind of way, why you're being a certain kind of way in relationships. Why do you feel the need to be this person? It's such a shame in the world that we just can't be really, really authentic to who we are. And there's people out there in the world that are like that. That's their thing. Yours is emotion, and expressing and being able to contain so much emotion and express it to others is your gift. And some people, it's authenticity. It's being able to be who their soul is. And I'm drawn to people like that. I think it's my Sagittarius rising, but I think it's just because I think that's great that you can just completely be who it is in your life and present that kind of person straightforward in relationships, because if you're true to yourself, then there is no other way. There is no kind of regret or going back or questioning things or kind of attending to someone else's emotions overly, because then you're lacking that within yourself, and then you start to feel like the other person's not giving what you need, but they've only given you what you've shown them you've needed. And when you're not being authentic to who it is you are. In this emotional space, Guys, I know I was just like, I went from one thing to another, but they were just getting me back on track. Because I get sidetracked. I sidetrack myself, just like now. It's all right to be alone. This energy of being like you're in a relationship. Oh, that's another thing. Okay, ready? In a relationship, how you are this emotional person or this emotional space, and you expect or want that from someone else when someone else it doesn't have the capacity as it is that you do. You feel unloved or unworthy of love, or there's that's on there, but it's also something that you're kind of doing to yourself to begin with. It's a pattern or energy that you're putting yourself in to begin with, because you're not being that authentic side. Then if you're not being that authentic person, then you're only giving them what it is that you feel like you're deserving of. You're allowing someone else to kind of figure out in a relationship. This is what it is. In a relationship, what we do is we allow the other person in the beginning to kind of see how we value ourselves by the way that we adapt to their actions and what they express. We allow them to label kind of our worthiness in that way if we're not being authentic to who we are. Then who's to know if that person falls in love with you, if they love you or the person or role that you're playing in that time. Guys, and I want to express this because I know this is really hard, but I feel like I want y'all to understand and see the compassion you should have for yourself in this circumstance. And I think everybody goes through this or feels this kind of way because it comes from insecurities. It comes from definitely insecurities, being insecure in who we are. And I think that that's completely normal with the way the world is right now. I mean, there's too much of this trying to become this perfect kind of image of whatever humanity decides. And that is a dangerous road, I feel like. But it keeps us from being able to be authentic to who we are and feeling like we can. You could have also been someone that has grown up in an environment to where your authenticity was placed on how your parents or how people around you valued you, how they saw you, your value. Was it from, things that you had outside of yourself? Was it from the 3D world? Is that how you were valued? Or was it who you are truly, how you were valued? And if you come from a traumatized kind of relationships, you're someone that has always been very kind of adaptive to other people's emotions and what you kind of place out there. But whatever it is that some people in friendships have given you, you later have realized isn't exactly what you feel like is fulfilling for you in some kind of way. So you've kind of dropped some relationships in your life as far as friendship goes, because eventually that role you played with that person wasn't what you kind of anticipated. That's why I always say, and you hear people say, some people are in our life for a season and some people are in our life for, forever, always. But for years or short period of time, that's why they say that, is because who are you with that person? And I don't think that and this is where this needs to be kind of expressed. That's where I think that we compare ourselves to others. It comes into play somehow. Okay, I'm going to pull myself back from that for a second and think about where I'm at, because I want to get tarot. Okay, I guess I'm going to leave it here, and then I'll get tarot, and I'll put this over here to the side. But heavy moon energy here, guys. Okay, so these cards, I gotta get myself out of that for a second, just a second. that was a whole nother thing I was trying to go towards that I want to stay away from right now. About being authentic, and I'm still trying to pull myself out of it for a second to get back to this. I need to know what I need to ask Tarot now. Okay. We want to know what else. I'm scared to ask. What else, Spirit, do we need to know about pile 2? What else do we need to know? I keep feeling this heavy emphasis on compassion. Being compassionate with yourself. I think it's really, really important, guys. I know I already said this once, but it's just trusting in that the path that you're on is the path that you're kind of meant to be. I think this is something that you've recognized within yourself. It's something that you really don't like about yourself. Because I think that you want to be authentic. I think that you want to be who you are. I think that you just don't know exactly who that is. Because again, you probably grew up in an environment to where you were constantly having to adapt to other people's emotions. So only with yourself have you ever been able to be authentic to who you are. And not making yourself... Let me say this, okay? And then we'll get tarot. If you grew up around an environment, there was a lot of trauma, and you have a lot of emotions, and you can feel other people's sadness, anger, frustration. You adapt to that in a way where you're trying to not be authentic to yourself, but trying to work around those other people's emotions, where you aren't being true to who you are. You're just doing what the other person is kind of wanting you to do. Or how they're kind of, I mean, it's kind of like people pleasing, but it's on a whole nother level, you know? It's like a healing thing. It's like I know people pleasing is, but it's like a whole nother level of it. And it has to do with relationships, in relationships. It's really deep. It's a deep, deep, deep kind of wound. And that's what it's from. You could have been in an environment to where you felt like you were more the adult and growing up with either parents or people around you to some way. You felt like you were more of that stability for them in some kind of way. That's another key thing. You weren't in a position ever to where you felt like you could be a child, or you could be who you were. You could feel that youthful kind of space and find what you feel like is authentic to you, and you could be someone that's very creative even. And you've had to try to find ways to express yourself creatively, so that you can put yourself into a more, that's your authenticity. That's how you kind of represent or show authenticity, because it comes out in an artistic way, because you can't have it expressed in a physical way like a relationship. So it comes out in that kind of way. So you could be someone that's very kind of artistic and to some extent, or you just enjoy things like this. It's really deep kind of wound that's there from that. Feeling like you were the stable one. Or always had to be the stable one. Provide stability. That was your job. That's the way you felt. Okay. Whew. So Tarot, what do you want to tell me? Please be gentle. Pile 2. That's what's causing disharmony here in your life. Okay, 4 wands in reverse. That's what's caused this. Some of y'all have experienced something that was very kind of traumatizing to you, and that has always created a lack of feeling completely at ease or feeling completely at peace in your life because of whatever that was. It was some sort of heavy moment in your life where something flipped upside down, and it's causing you from being able to completely feel at peace in relationships and with yourself. Trying to prevent that from happening. I wasn't going to take reversals in this deck, but I feel the need to now. I mean, obviously. The World here. So this is like the final completion of a lesson that you're kind of going through here, is understanding how things have been kind of keeping you from being able to fully experience peace, and what that feels like at really being who you are, having peace with who you are. That's the lesson here. Accepting yourself is the lesson that's here. Anything else? The Queen of Air. Showing your self-compassion is something else that's really keeps coming up. So seeing yourself as someone that is, thank you. Seeing yourself as someone that is, that's funny, guys. The look on her face when I turned this around from the thought that was in my head just fit perfectly. It was kind of funny. Seeing yourself in a way to where you feel like you are someone that is wise at making decisions for yourself and at being completely authentic to who you are, because the Queen of Swords is that, definitely. Very authentic to who she is and the truth of who she is, and using that as those experiences as I get it. Those experiences as something that is developed into a very empathetic person, and appreciating that part of those experiences and that in yourself is something that's here. And along with being able to still be harmonious at times and still have that positive outlook on things at times is something that's like a key for you in relationships, to have other people have that experience with that part of you is a gift. You have this ability, I'm going to say this one more time, to show compassion and show love in a way that is unique and different to you. And you're holding that part of you back. And it's a very key part of you, because in relationships, one of the things is your ability to teach others how to be that way, that compassionate side to you. And if you're not being authentic, then you're not doing your job in the relationship. You're not doing what it is that you can bring to the relationship itself, what you bring. I hope this makes sense. And I definitely hope this helps. Look at that. Radical change. Closing out this cycle. It's time for you to close this out. It's time for you to step up into this different role of being true to yourself and knowing that nobody has that over you. No, it's like manipulation, or it is a manipulation, but it's not like the allowance. It's that you allow it. It's the allowing part of it. This Ten of Wands here is a card of you feeling overwhelmed with feeling this way, this imbalance. It always brings you to this point to where you feel too overwhelmed, and it's because you aren't allowing yourself to be who you are. That's why you always feel too overwhelmed in relationships. You feel then that you have to kind of hold back to please the other person, but you're not being true. And let me tell you, the first, I know everybody says this, but the most important relationship is with yourself, because you're creating that understanding of who you are. And the better we know ourselves and the better we understand ourselves, the better our relationships become. But we have to be authentic to that. Otherwise, what are you doing? You know, like what really are you doing? Okay. Radical change and is what happens here. You could find yourself in very abrupt, quickly ending relationships too, because you carry on or take on more because you have the emotional capacity. So that can come in the way of a negative feeling as well, not just a positive emotion, a negative emotion, because you're able to carry that emotion for so long, because you have that capacity to do that, because you have compassion. Then it gets to the 10 of Wands where there's no other way than to release it. You have to, in order to kind of move forward. So you could come into relationships that end abruptly, and it's because you've probably already technically left that relationship prior to when this was even part of it. You just have took on and carried it for so long because of the compassion, the compatibility, to obtain all those emotions in that relationship. I hope that made sense. Yeah, the Magician in reverse. And you realize that this relationship didn't have everything it was that you really needed in a relationship. And when you reach that point, there's radical change. There's just a quick, sudden change. Why is the Four of... It's like you take on a whole, you hear people say, I can take a lot, but when I reach my breaking point, that's it for me. I know I'm done. That's something that I think that you kind of feel and know about yourself, that you've learned about yourself. The Moon in reverse. Moon's energy is coming up here again, in reverse this time. Yeah, because this is what has been causing a disharmony here in your life, and this has a lot to do with you having to wake yourself up to the fact that when you think about whatever this past traumatic experience is here, or event in your life that caused a significant change, when you think about that, you have to constantly kind of illuminate, this is kind of self-sabotaging energy here is what I'm feeling. You kind of constantly remind yourself it's probably not going to work out. I think that's in your subconscious more because I do think that you are trying to kind of be more positive with that or not think about it in that way. But it does happen. It just keeps kind of coming up of you kind of being in a space to where you don't think that something is going to work out in the best way. That's that traumatized relationships that you've been around that you feel like were very traumatized you in a way where you just don't feel like relationships are going to last. There's always going to be that. It's always gonna not work out at some point. Or that having that, being realistic with yourself and feeling that and being honest with yourself about that, it could actually be also a self-sabotage. So there's just saying, you know that's there, kind of be careful with that. The way that you see things like that. Because it can lead into a direction of anxiety about a relationship as well. So, what? Okay. So we have the Seven of Pentacles here: investment, assessment, and patience. So closing out, I feel like you're closing out some sort of cycle here in your life. And if that's the case, and this could be different for everybody, what that kind of really looks like. It could be you trying to create a new stability for yourself with the Four of Wands being right there, and what to invest in moving forward. I think that you're getting an ending here to some extent for some of you, and after this is going to become this rebirth or this new beginning, and they're wanting you to kind of really focus on what it is that you're investing into that. For some of you, this could be a new relationship. For some of you, this could be a new job or just a new life experience. Maybe you've moved, or you've went through a divorce, or you've gotten married, or whatever this is. There's something to do here with you having a significant ending and rebirth in your life to some extent, and focusing on what it is that you invest into that and how you invest into that, and being authentic to who you are and learning the lessons that you have and assessing those and having patience with yourself and being compassionate with yourself moving forward is the way for you to kind of step into this authenticity and create what it is that you really want in a relationship. Look at that. The Three of Swords in reverse. Now I know why I take reversals. Sorrow, forgiveness, and healing. This is you guys kind of recognizing that you need to heal this authenticity and forgiving yourself for not allowing yourself to be this gifted person that carries all this compassion and love to others, and not allowing yourself to express that to others. And forgiving yourself for not allowing yourself to be this person that you are is how you can move forward and create a really significant radical change in relationships in the future, and creating and manifesting what it is that you really want in your life. You have the Hermit here in reverse. So some of you may be needing to come out of isolation. Some of you maybe you need to go on this discovery of who you are, refinding yourself again and what it is that you really want. If this is kind of like the beginning of a new journey for you in some kind of way, whether that's, to yourself, a relationship, or, whatever that looks like for you guys, or being by yourself even, with It's All Right to Be Alone here, even if that's just being alone and what that looks like for you. But being true to that and who you are, and not denying yourself of wherever it is that you are, I think is also something that's like really important here. Don't deny yourself of your own experiences. So wherever you are currently, you're there, and you're there for a reason. And this is the best time to start, is in the beginning, to becoming authentic to and true to yourself and your own emotions and who you are. It's never too late to do that. And wherever that is in your life, to create and manifest what it is that you really want. Okay. These are Drive from Amazon. They're just inspirational quotes. And then we're going to also get some empowering questions, and then get some other advice cards. Okay. The harder the work, the sweeter the fruit. This one's my favorite, one of my favorites. Dead fish go with the flow. We'll talk about those in just a second. I want to get one more. Two more. You were born an original. Don't die a copy. That is the perfect card for you guys. I love it. That's awesome. You can't go through the looking glass without cutting yourself. Yeah. You can't be authentic to who you are without there possibly being some people that don't last in your life. This is important too, I feel like. Stop wearing your wishbone where your backbone ought to be. Okay, so I want to go back to this one though. Standing up for yourself and being true to who you are is part of this backbone one. But you can't go through the looking glass without cutting yourself, is recognizing that relationships moving forward and relationships in your past, you couldn't figure out who you are who you are in this moment in time, because you know we're different in different timelines in our lives. And in this moment in time, you are who you are, and representing who that person is from all those experiences of pain that you've had in the past is a way to forgive yourself for not allowing yourself to be authentic in this moment. Is to think about that. It's you've been doing it as a level of protecting. It's not. That's something that you need to think about, because it's part of having compassion for yourself of how you've gotten to this point. Yeah, and you were born an original. I've been saying it here with this card over here, the little wolf girl. You were born an original, an ability to have this capacity, and it's something to be nurtured. It's definitely something to be nurtured, but definitely something to also be shared. And dead fish go with the flow. You know, that kind of sits next to this one for me in a way, because you sometimes, if you're just in that flow state, just going with what everybody else kind of wants, and I don't mean in the flow in a good, peaceful way. I mean like in the flow and trusting in things. I'm talking about being predictable, or being like what everybody else wants you to be. You know, dead fish can go with the flow too. So people that, you know, are in that space that just seem like they're going along with life or whatever, might not be actually being true to who they are. They may be kind of, you know, dying inside, that they can't be who they really are. It's an expression of trying to kind of be that person and be that copy instead of that original. And then the harder the work, the sweeter the fruits. Yeah. If things have been in your life that you've gone through all these traumatic experiences, look at those in a way of how you've been adaptive to those, and how they have strengthened you as far as being able to look at flaws in relationships, or as far as being able to recognize and learn things within yourself that some people don't get that capability of seeing themselves in that kind of way. You know, we can always say that, oh, if this ever happened, I know what I would do in that moment, or I know who the person I would be in that moment, or whatever. But until we're actually faced with some of that those traumatic experiences, it really like brings up who you are. There is no denying or hiding any of that. And you are someone that really deep down knows yourself more than a lot of other people may even know themselves, because they haven't been faced with situations like that. So that's something that you have that you need to hold on to. And that's part of that compassion, and part of that capacity to have the emotions that's there. That's why. It's something to cherish, and it's sweet. It's, you know, the harder the work, the sweeter the fruit, the sweeter that is about you. And it's something that you should really look at within yourself, because I think it's something that would really bring a lot of enjoyment, if, as far as how you see yourself, if you would look at it like that. Okay, man, let's get, I didn't get empowering questions, and these are important because I love these. So let's get some real quick, and then we'll get a postcard from Spirit and some initials to close. Okay. Pile 2. Okay. This one flew right out, so I can't wait to see what it says. Would I be proud of myself if I spoke to other people in the same way as my thoughts speak to me? How do my thoughts speak to me? So what are the things that you kind of tell yourself when you're in a position to where you're being that person? What kind of things do you tell yourself? What are your thoughts kind of telling you that you're ignoring also, you know? Would you be proud of yourself if you spoke to other people in the same way that you speak to yourself about what it is that, you know, who are you beneath the role that you're playing, or who are you really authentic to who you are? I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to say, to be honest, or what I mean. It's like, would you be proud if someone spoke to you in the same way that you're talking to you're speaking to yourself. Like those things that you say to yourself about holding back your emotional space. And there's a hardness with that. It's an unfairness that you show yourself, and it's not okay to talk to yourself in that way. And it's about your emotions and about being too expressive or caring too much, or it's not a good feeling that I'm feeling about it. And it hurts, you know? If someone said those things to you, just like you're saying it to yourself, I mean, how would that make you feel? You know what I mean? It's something to really think about. Okay. I had the hardest time kind of getting that feeling that I was feeling out. Sometimes I have these certain kind of emotions, but they're kind of a mix of emotions, and it's hard to kind of explain like all the different kind of emotions that tie in with it. Does that make sense, guys? So if I pause for a while, or I'm kind of it sounds like I'm weeding through something. I am. I'm weeding through like those emotions and what all I'm feeling with that. What is the most courageous thing I've done? How did it make me feel? Yeah. That's something to counteract some of those other negative feelings that you're feeling, is how courageous you were being in certain moments in your life, especially traumatic moments in your life. That's the strength that I was referring to before. But how did that make you feel when you were that way? And then be that way towards yourself. As strong as you are for everyone else, you should be that same amount of strength for yourself. Showing up for yourself every day. Being authentic to who you are. Postcard for pile 2. Postcard. Okay. We have 2, guys. Y'all know I'm gonna read them because I can't not. Okay. First one here is, you are pure joy. Oh, yes you are. Okay. Now is one of those times that you've been asked to add some distance, take a step back, and do nothing but observe. Don't worry about how long it'll take to regroup. Just know that it's temporary and actually an opportunity to take a breath, slow down, and look at how far you've come. Decisions for your highest good are made when you have clarity, which comes from being open to information from both the intellect and the intuition. When you step into the role of observer, it's as if you turn on a switch that allows your soul to be the essential part of the information gathering and decision-making process. In this way, you can approach things from a more natural and non-judgmental place. We know you'll make the right choice. Trust us when we say, it's not time to get too close to the fray. Stay back now. You'll be glad that you did. Love you. So I want to bring this back up here real quick. And since your reading has been focused on this role and playing, being authentic to who you are, trusting in your path, I said there's going to be 2 different directions that are going to come to you. And if the question here that they're wanting you to ask yourself, in order to be authentic to who you are and what it is that you want, and not just eating that apple because the snake told you to do it, which choice would you choose? If you knew that you would be supported 100%, what choice would you make? There's an obstacle coming. And they're wanting you to focus on this. They're wanting you to think about this. They want you to take a step back. So I think that you are coming to a crossroads, and they're wanting you to take a step back and think about this, and not to make it not an impulsive decision. And one door is going to be an opportunity for you, and the other is going to be the same path that you've been on. They're wanting you to think about this and ask yourself, and it's different for everybody. So take a step back let your soul kind of speak to you, and then gather what information you need from there. So outside of everyone else, step into more of that natural and non-judgmental place and ask yourself, if you were 100% supported and you were standing at that crossroads, which choice would you make? Because sometimes when we do that down to that point, we'll say, oh, 100%, I know exactly what I'd choose. So why is that? And kind of go on that journey of figuring that out. Give yourself some time to think about that and think about why that is, and if that's authentic to who you are. And how can that journey move forward, in that direction? If you go through this door, there's a whole nother world here, right? You are divine beauty. We're a chatty bunch over here, always talking about how to support you in your life's journey. We communicate to you through the language of oracles, dreams, signs, metaphors, and omens. In your life on earth, however, clarity in your communication is essential for being understood. You don't speak in symbols, and if you did, you would definitely confuse things. Right now, you're facing a situation in which you're being asked to have integrity, be clear, and learn how to ask for your needs to be met. The first step is to admit out loud that you have needs. The second is to ask out loud for them to be met. And the third is to allow the other person, organization, or even us to answer you. When you follow these steps, you can most definitely expect a answer or a lesson. In your favor, affirmative, we say, loving you so very much. No kidding, huh? So this is about you, again, kind of being this person and being authentic to who you are is the signal and the sign that you're going to be sending out for that other person. There's also recognition here to making a choice. It's okay to ask questions when you're making a choice in order to choose which path to take, especially when it comes to a relationship. And having integrity for who you are and being clear about what it is that you want and what your needs are and how this person or the other person in a relationship can meet those needs is very important. But knowing what those are in the beginning is also key. Knowing what your needs are is key for you in relationships. Knowing what it is that you need, and you have to know yourself first in order to do that and allow yourself to be that person. And there's a question here about asking for this to be met. And then allow the other person to kind of meet those needs. And if they do meet those needs, or if they don't meet those needs. And what is the tolerance for you on that? That's a boundary in a relationship. That's something that I think that you need to think about or really focus on moving forward. Okay. Well, they'll give you an answer, guys, somehow. Whether it's sometimes no answer is the answer. And don't forget that. But sometimes, they'll answer you somehow or another, even if it doesn't come straight across in words. Actions are words as well, Detachment, yeah. Detach from your old self and include what it is that you're wanting in relationships is important here. In order to expand in relationships, in order to relationships to grow as well. And going well, you're doing good. They're saying, give them some encouragement. So I don't know if I've come across kind of harsh in this reading or what, but they're saying give them some encouragement. And look at that. Own my idea and friend. You may have some kind of idea about a friendship, or there being a friendship, or having a friendship with someone, and your idea around what a friendship looks like to you, and that goes across as well with the emotional part of it. What does a friend look like for you? It should be someone that can be that emotional support. You remember we started your whole entire reading off with Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? So is this person someone that is willing to expand on the relationship in a way of the same way you are with yourself, mothering the relationship or nurturing the relationship or the connection? Because that's what we started with, and this is what we're ending with here with this friendship card. Is this person kind of a friend the way you are a friend, you know? And what is your idea about that? They may have a different idea. Maybe it won't be able to expand because of that. Okay. Take it slow. It's something that I just heard in my head. We have the heart here. S K G R M or W Z U, then we have H O R O T I L M or W A G J. Look, joy right there. There's always joy. Always joy in the bowl. I just started joy, joy, joy down in my heart. That's funny. Let's see else. Let's see what else. Singing good music, guys. I don't know why this is coming across as a message, but singing with, or just listening to, put your headphones on and kind of put yourself in a different kind of complete environment. If you have a hard time meditating, or if you're just sitting in a position in your life where you're just having a hard time meditating, sometimes it comes and goes, kind of sit on that for a minute and put some headphones on and put some positive vibrational kind of music on. That will help you kind of zone out and kind of give your mental space kind of a break. That's what that is, you know, clearing out things, giving your mental space, detach for a little while in that way would be helpful. Maybe the song Joy down in your heart, you know, may help. We also see laws here, L-A-W-S. So that may be relevant here for some of you to some extent. I don't know why. The joy of laws. I don't know. It may have to do with your principles or your morals or your values or what it is. What are your laws, you know, kind of like your boundaries, what it is that you feel like you need. That's something that's here. Those are like your laws in a relationship, what it is that you feel like you need. And those could change. Laws change. Those could change over your lifetime in relationships. Grim. Maybe some things have been pretty grim for you lately. Yeah, you need to find your joy back into your life. They've got you. They've got you, don't worry. Home is here. No, it's not. We don't have an E. Joy, you, laws, got. Joy, you got laws. I'm trying to spell a sentence. I got walls. Joy. Maybe you feel like sometimes not always the thing in your life that you may have a hard time, people may have a hard time understanding why you feel a certain way about your principles or your morals or your beliefs or something like this. That might be significant to you in your life and finding someone that you connect with. I don't know really why that's coming up. But what they're saying here is it's all right to be alone in that, in a relationship. You don't always have to have the same exact beliefs. Sometimes people connect because they don't believe in the same things, and that keeps things extremely interesting, you know. It depends on what you really want from a relationship, and that's something that you need to kind of figure out and how and be authentic to that. It's good that you're different. I feel like it's good that you're different. You're teaching each other different kinds of things, and if you love and have compassion and care about that person, why not learn from someone like that? Because if it's someone you don't, you're definitely not going to listen to them. So if you're someone like that, you can see a new perspective of things, a shift, even if you don't believe it. You can see how other people see things in the world. Why not? You know, differences shouldn't be a deciding factor in relationships. It should be more so something that opens us up and wants us where we want to evolve. So I'm gonna leave you there, or I'll just keep going apparently forever and ever. So I'm leaving you here. Hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope this helps, guys. Y'all let me know about these. Unfortunately, these readings usually don't get very many views because I don't know why, to be honest with you. I think these are awesome. I love doing these readings. So thanks for being here. If you're here, I appreciate you guys. And go vote on my 5-day giveaway. I'm going to close that down on the 10th, so I need to get those votes in so I can get all my decks in order. And I'm excited, and I need some votes because they're back to back. They're so close. I don't know what's going to make what. So if you don't mind, please go vote. And it's on my community page on my channel on YouTube. And I'd really appreciate you guys. And thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for all your love and support and all your kindness. And I hope to see you guys soon. Hey, Pile 3. So if you chose the Essential Tarot, this is going to be a reading. I'm going to set the tarot to the side here. And I want to take a look at first some oracle cards. So this is really about what have you learned in relationships. I feel like I've been getting some pretty decent advice out of this. So we'll see how it goes for you. We're going to start here with the Work Your Light oracles. So pile 3, what have you learned? That's pile 3. What have they learned when it comes to relationships for pile 3? What's their overall energy here? Pile 3, what do they need to know? Pile 3. Okay. Take a break. I just heard break the chains too, which is what I thought this said. So I'm going to take that into consideration. We have take a break, a life's work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. So that's important. And then you also have birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. So this is about, I think that you're breaking some cycles in your life, or trying to break out of some cycles in your life. You could just be in a cycle where you're trying to get yourself free from this certain kind of thought process that you have when it comes to relationships and how they kind of work for you. This take a break, a life's work, not a season. It's almost like the adaptability that you create when it comes to relationships and how you kind of create something out of nothing. It's like how you create an imbalance in a relationship because you're so kind of fixated on past experiences and how those have kind of affected you. And it's like, get off the treadmill. You have this desire to change or make a difference when it comes to partnerships and what you have experienced so far. There's an idea around, nobody wants to be on a relentless treadmill forever. You want to be able to share or be able to, just like learning a lesson, you want to be able to show that you've learned that lesson. You want to be able to show that when you get off the treadmill, you have that endurance, there because you've been working on that. And this is part of realizing the strength behind those connections that you went through and how they've kind of made an effect on you and made you capable of kind of seeing things in a way of knowing that you have strengths from that and carrying forward with that energy is how you kind of want to birth things into a new age for yourself, is how you kind of want to create something new for yourself. Dreaming about a whole nother era, like a whole nother way that you can experience relationships, is I think really important for you. Because I do feel like you're wanting to break free from some chains of the past and kind of have this like fresh new air, like a whole fresh new experience when it comes to your love life. I think that you're in a position to where you've kind of thrown your arms up, you've kind of turned your back away from whatever there was in the past, and kind of just, it's kind of a place to where you really just do not care anymore as much as what you used to care. And what I mean by that is, that might kind of hinder you in relationships at times. It's like you don't want to put, or you haven't wanted to care as much about others, and you're starting to become kind of numb to a feeling in relationships that, I think you're in a high vibrational energy right now, but I think that could kind of go in a different direction very easily if you're not careful about that. It's kind of borderline between having faith and feeling the experience altogether. It's kind of like, I have just so much faith that I can jump right off of this cliff and nothing's going to happen to me. I just believe that whatever's meant to happen will happen. But you have to be able to recognize the emotions that you do feel. And because if you didn't acknowledge fear, you would just jump right off that cliff and hurt yourself, you know? So there's a balance, I think, that you need to find here when it comes to relationships moving forward, and where that is for you. What are those emotions that you're feeling? What are they telling you? Because if you just ignore those, then you can become very cold over time if things don't go exactly right for you. You can start to say things to yourself like, am I not deserving of a good relationship? Because Spirit hasn't sent me one, yet. It's a lack of being able to really look at who you are and how you've kind of affected relationships as well. I think that's part of this for you. Wanting to break so far free of the change that the pattern that you've been experiencing, and that desire to do that is well and fine and great, recognizing it. But then you also have to go back and recognize the places where you've affected that pattern, or you've created that pattern, and how to break yourself free from that, because that's where the really healing does. That's where the change happens. You cannot just imagine or dream up that the next one's going to be so different, but not change anything about yourself moving forward. It's great to take the strength out of that connection. Now we're really getting somewhere, huh? It's great to take the strength that you've gained from those relationships, but when you're not really recognizing or having the self-awareness there attached to it, then when you get into a new relationship and feel like this is it, this is what Spirit's sending me, I deserve, here it is, this relationship, you can very easily fall back into that same repetitive pattern and create that. No matter what you're given, it can ultimately turn into the same story over and over if you're not seeing certain things about yourself, because you're not changing anything. Maybe different lessons are being learned or taught by different people or individuals or relationships themselves, but if you're not looking at where you have kind of placed yourself in that relationship, then you're not seeing that self-awareness, you're not acknowledging it. It's kind of where you're putting yourself in a place of saying, where nothing ever kind of goes right for you. It's kind of a victim kind of mentality, but I hate saying that word, because I feel like that word, there's a lot of negativity associated with that word. And it's not necessarily, it's like the Eight of Swords, and we all get into that Eight of Swords energy from time to time, where we start to feel so much regret or remorse or guilt, or there's just so much worry or fear or whatever it is that kind of blocks us into a place. And it can cause us to if we're not recognizing something outside of ourselves and we feel like there's a guard there to some extent, we're not capable of rising up and just walking over that. Knowing if we're strong enough to kind of walk over that, or knowing who we are, is where we kind of start. And that's what I'm saying here for y'all. Knowing who you are and where you are is how you start to recognize that pattern, so you can correct it, and then you can really ultimately have that relationship that you really desire. Okay, so let's get some of these. These are the Oracle of the Shapeshifters. Okay, I'm not saying that you haven't recognized some things about yourself. I don't want y'all to kind of feel that way. I think that you have. I think that you've came a long way as far as recognizing certain things about yourself. There's other things there that, let's see what this says. Sacred beetle armor. Yes. You are a mighty shield. Number 38. This is significant here. Number 38 might also be significant to you. You could have had some significant changes around hold on just a second. You could have had some significant changes in your life sooner than what you've expected. And it's basically completely set your foundations in a different direction. So whatever that means for you guys, however that looks. And you're having to kind of recognize your own strength and perseverance, and seeing that as almost an armor is here. Having this shield is what I was talking about. Having this strength and seeing it as, I'm so strong, I can withstand any kind of relationship, but not recognizing your weaknesses as also being a strength is where you're lacking. Because when we know our weaknesses, we know that part about ourselves, then we're easier to be able to identify in a relationship what we're causing and what the other person can be causing as far as conflict goes. So when you approach a conflict, you're easier to not be so offended by your partner expressing something to you and the need to feel so much so like you always have to defend yourself. If you're recognizing your own weaknesses and saying, you're right, I do that from time to time. I am that way. And I'm not talking about, it's not fair to say that you admit to those things, but then you also kind of rub it off and say, well, that's just who I am. That's kind of unfair, definitely for the other person as far as the conflict goes. Because to me, I think that gets a little bit too carried away, to be honest with you, because you can't just say, well, I'm an asshole. That's just who I am. You know what I mean? In a relationship, that's just not going to last. But admitting to, like something like this, you know what I do? I just get in my head too much about certain things. I start to build a lot of anxiety, and I know I'm not acting in a very appropriate way towards you. You haven't done anything wrong. I'm just in my own head, That is honesty. That is your own self, having that acknowledgement about yourself and being honest about it and confronting it and saying, is that the issue, here? And that's a weakness. And when you recognize those weaknesses in that kind of way and having compassion for yourself about it, if you can do that and you can recognize it and be honest with yourself and the other person cannot, there could be something there with that person that they're having a hard time to see within themselves that they need to work on as well. I feel like when you're in a partnership and there's conflict that comes up, if there's not compromise, there's not really a partnership. It's about creating that safe place where you can come together and you can understand each other, and you If someone tells you that you're acting a certain way, you know that that person has your best interest or loves you and cares about you and has compassion for you, and they're not trying to hurt you. It's about recognizing that with someone and being honest with yourself then about it. I think this is something ultimately you look for, and I think that you've been kind of let down in your life with relationships when it comes to this. But I think some of that stems from you feeling this need to put on this armor and be mighty and not allow anyone to kind of break that. You don't know yourself in some kind of way, when it's not really about that. It's more about you recognizing your own, at times, your own weaknesses. And we all have them. We're not all just like this beetle armor. We're not all just like have this infinity mighty shield that's it. We're, you know, a certain kind of person and we just never do anything kind of wrong. We all do that. That's part of life and learning and evolving. But recognizing the weaknesses here is what they're saying that you really need in order to birth that new age that you're wanting in love, in relationships, in a connection, even if you are in a connection. So let's get some of these. I feel like your pile may be a little bit more triggering than the others, and I apologize for that if that's the case. There's also a desperate need for you to want other people to recognize or see your value, and there may be kind of a deep wound that goes along with that. Someone you look up to not recognizing or seeing your own value, and that's something that you still kind of carry with you inside. And that's that part of that defensive shield. This could be something as much as a parent not seeing your value or not feeling ever good enough for them. Or this could be something like fighting really hard one moment in your life and as a teenager, you fought for something really hard to prove somebody wrong about something, and it didn't work out for you. And that's just something you've just held on to for so long. Those years are so prominent in your life because they're so, all those emotions are some emotions and experiences that you're experiencing feeling for the first time ever. And so for some of you, that could be something that you've just really created this foundation of who you are with that. So we kind of figure out who we are when we're going through those experiences in that point in our lives, and how we're building character within ourselves. And that may be something that is part of your foundation that you need to kind of look at is, why was my value associated with how well I did at that time? Why is that there? Is that something that is part of my childhood in some kind of way, or raising up? Is that part of my foundation that needs to be repaired? Because you can always repair the cracks in your foundation to make things better, more sturdy. So we have the Lovers that had to come out. This came out in pile 1. Sorry guys, I had I buy these to put in my tea. They're honey sticks, like honey spoons, different kinds. They're awesome, but anyway. And I got a piece of the candy part of it stuck in my mouth, and I couldn't get it out. You may struggle with that from time to time. You may be somebody that really says kind of too much of what they're thinking at times, and you find yourself, you kind of put your foot in your mouth sometimes and you don't mean it. Or you say things you don't mean, or you come across in a way where you feel like people take you not so great when you don't mean it in that kind of way. There's an idea that people don't understand why you kind of say or do things, and it comes across in a way you don't mean for it to. And it's because there is a little bit of a shield that's there, a mighty shield. So you come across maybe kind of aggressive in ways to people. And that might be hard for some people to kind of understand or take. Oh my gosh, look at this. The warrior. Number 1. That's Aries energy there. Guys, for sure. Feeling it here too. I ask for what I want because I deserve to get what I want. You see what I'm saying? With the Lovers here, this is how you represent yourself in relationships, is this wanting to attract this right here, love, abundance, success, happiness, and fulfillment. But then being this warrior, you see relationships as you have to be this warrior energy because you deserve what you want. And sometimes when you come across and you straight up ask for what it is that you want in an aggressive way, like because you know you deserve whatever that is. I deserve what I want. It's kind of like that can come across as being very aggressive to other people, and they may take you in a way where it makes you kind of feel like nobody understands you. I think that you're actually coming from a loving place. It's that you're coming from a place of, it's almost like you know what's best, but you're not looking at yourself and the weaknesses that are there when it comes to that. Let's get one more. I want one more. Can I have one more? The contortionist. Contortionist. Number 50. Sorry. 50. Number 5. Number 5. The Hierophant in Tarot. Rules, regulations, laws, setting down your rules in a relationship. What you will and won't put up with. You know, this kind of energy is here. I resist those who would have me bend to their will. You know, this is very kind of aggressive energy that I'm feeling here, guys. I mean, come on. And I think it's from past relationships. I think that you have kind of, yeah, look at that, the benefactor. You're in this place to where you want to see past relationship as a benefit for you, to now you know how to move forward, but it's coming across in a way too of a strong, aggressive way. And that can actually scare people off in your life that really want to connect with you, and that do see you. Okay, so let's get tarot to get more in depth here, guys. There's your 10 of Cups. And your Ace of Swords is in reverse. I don't think you're being completely honest with yourself about what it is that really ultimately fulfills you. Because I think some of you kind of put this front on where you just feel like maybe you're just meant to be in bad relationships in this lifetime. Maybe this is what you're meant to be shown, or you're just, here it comes again. Like you never get justice. You never get justice. You never get, things are never balanced for you. You always get like the worst end of the deal kind of thing is what I'm feeling. And that's where this armor energy is coming from. And again, it stems back to not seeing the certain roles that you placed in a relationship and how that's been affected the relationship. Just think about it like this. Can you go back and look at those relationships and say, boy, I did everything right. Every single one of my relationships, my whole life, I have done every single thing right. No, none of us can say that, because none of us are perfect. We just can't. Now, you can say, I put in so much effort, and maybe you did put in a lot of effort, and maybe you didn't feel like the other person was, and that's coming from that shield and wanting to protect what it is that you deserve, because you were putting out all this certain kind of energy, and that's great, but there are things there that you maybe weren't recognizing with that other person, and how you didn't kind of see eye to eye on certain kind of things, and not wanting to see the other person's kind of perspective or point of view, maybe where you were kind of lacking in that relationship. Opening yourself up to someone else's view on love, or view on what is their morals, that they have set, or what they see as something that's valuable in a relationship, is part of recognizing how you maybe weren't seeing eye to eye. There wasn't that balance there, and you were trying to get that other person to kind of see more your way, or your side, or what you wanted, or what you deserved, when maybe that person in that connection wasn't even able to ever even give you that in the first place. Maybe that person wasn't able to give you that because they couldn't even give themselves that. And understanding that, I think, is something to help you to kind of move forward, by the way, with past relationships. Understanding that maybe you just were not what that person needed. Maybe this person didn't need to have someone to protect them in the way that you were ready to protect them. Maybe they didn't need to have someone that was telling them what they should be doing with their life, or people around them. Or it's coming from a loving place. It's like when you love someone, you want them to do what you're telling them to do, because you know that would be probably the best thing for that person. But that person needs to kind of go through and work through their own kind of situations. And you cannot just always protect someone like that. And this is how you represent yourself in relationships, as the protector of the relationship, as the protector of the other person. This is how you represent love. And it may be because of something that you've lacked in your life, like not feeling valued enough. So if you value something, you want to protect that, because you didn't feel like whatever you brought to the table, or you thought was value, wasn't protected. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope that does. You'll understand kind of what I'm saying from that. That's where it kind of stems from, the way you see relationships and who you present as yourself in a relationship is very much so this warrior Mars kind of energy that I'm feeling. And not changing yourself for anyone else. It has made you very aggressive in who you are, and not allowing yourself, it goes past the point of not allowing yourself to recognize your own weaknesses back again. And I think that's what we're going to kind of focus on here with tarot, okay? So let's do that. I know I kind of went off again on that whole thing, but let's see what comes out in tarot. Right off the bat, look at that. There's that Aries energy, the Emperor in reverse. It's a complete, guys, this is saying that this is a shift from what you were feeling before. This is you're not coming across in this protective energy like you maybe think you are. You're coming across in a more aggressive kind of way, where you're almost kind of not allowing the other person to be really who they really are. And you're wanting to get back what it is that you put out there, of course, but you're not allowing the other person in the relationship to kind of be themselves, because you want to protect that person. So you want them to understand and see things for your point of view, because that's the only way you see protection. If they could see it in my way, then they know how that would hurt them. If they could see it in the way I'm seeing it, then they wouldn't even mess with that. They would stay away from that. And in a way, you're being safe, because you won't have to worry about that person. But you're not allowing that other person to kind of be who they are. It's a way of protecting the other partner, or the relationship itself. And it's distorted masculine energy is what it is. It's in a distorted kind of way of looking at how to control a relationship moving forward. This is a pattern in you that you need to change. This need to have this control over if you don't value yourself in a certain way because of your past wounds, like we talked about, then when you get in a relationship and you recognize somebody and you see value in that person, you recognize that person as being very valuable. You see that person as golden, and there's a lot of love for that person because you see them in this great golden way. Then when you see that they're not valuing themselves or other people aren't valuing them, you can get very offensive or very aggressive with wanting to protect that person, even when it comes to themselves, when they're not seeing things in a certain way. The reason that's there is because you have grown up feeling, possibly for some of you, or you have just been in a situation that made you feel like your values and your needs were not being met. And no matter what you did, it never seemed to be like that was the best thing, or that was good enough. So you want other people to recognize their value. You want other people to strive for the best. You want other people to be in the best that they can be, that you love and care about. Because that's what you wanted. That's what you would have wanted. That's what you want within yourself. What they're saying here is, if you could just flip this around and recognize that you have some flaws within, and see that about yourself, and you could recognize that other people have those similar things within themselves. And maybe sometimes other people that we love don't appreciate who they are. Sometimes other people that we love don't value certain things within themselves, or it's just not valuable to them. Because we're all different. We see things differently. And being able to recognize that that's how you approach a relationship, I think is very important to breaking yourself free from the pattern and moving forward onto something new, onto a new relationship with not feeling the same way. It's a whole new age that you'll be birthing here. It's a whole new world that you would create for yourself. This is the Four of Swords in reverse. And this is about you sitting and contemplating and thinking and being about how to repair things and how to fix things, and always being in this position to where you feel the need to kind of stand guard or protect yourself or protect the other person, and constantly feeling restless because that other person's not seeing things the way you are is something else that's here. It keeps you entangled, and it keeps you from being able to really experience peace, which is why take a break is here. A life's work, not a season. This is kind of, it's almost like you going through and wanting to fix the other person. I want to fix this other person so they can see their value, but you can't do that with someone. You can certainly help, but ultimately that person has to see that within themselves first. Six of Wands. This is recognition. This is you recognizing this and allowing other people to shine for what it is that they feel like why they should be shining in their relationship, and what they do bring as far as that different perspective goes. Just looking at somebody and saying, maybe there is something to what they're saying. Maybe there is maybe I can see it in their point of view without having any emotions attached to it. Just looking at it, These two cards are really similar to me. The colors and in them are the same. And so I kind of want to attach these. This idea that you are sitting on this horse and people are applauding and cheering you, and it takes me back to seeing that, recognizing the value within yourself. I think it's something that you need to focus on, as far as, I don't think that you've ever kind of really felt full fulfillment from that, like what that feels like to just have that value within. And that's why you may look at other people like there's constantly something that they need to change within themselves or fix within themselves of becoming a better person, when it's keeping them from being able to be authentic to who they just are. Always striving to be your best here is not, it's exhausting, isn't it? Constantly wearing that shield of being the best and is exhausting. Ten of Pentacles in reverse. No? Nine of Pentacles in reverse. There's an idea behind this. If you keep kind of striving forward and doing what it is that you're doing and do what you feel like is the best thing, then you'll get through the pearly gates. You know what I mean? Like, you'll look on top. But this is a lack in value within self, guys. This is exactly what the Nine of Pentacles is for me in reverse. Upright, it's about you having that abundance within. You feeling abundant, you feeling good, you feeling that. But in reverse, it's opposite. So with the Six of Wands right next to it, it's like you're trying to get that from outside yourself. And if another person doesn't recognize what you're saying or doing or acting or trying to do or say or whatever, seeing it as something that is valuable the way you are, it degrades who you are as a person. And that's where this aggressive energy is coming from. But it's not because they don't recognize their value. It's just because they're not seeing things the way that you see things. The Eight of Wands. This is this aggressive energy. This is forward movement. This is, if you could see this about yourself and kind of focus on, there's things that you don't like about yourself. There's certain things about you that you disagree with, but you can't control, or you're working on, or you're trying to become better, or, you know, whatever that is, there's things there. If you could look at those things and address them, then I think that you would you'd move forward so quickly in relationships. But you're always so focused on the battle. You're constantly have this armor on. You never take it off. You're constantly focused on the battle. And about being good enough. There's just this thing about you just always trying to be good enough in a relationship. Trying to be the best that you can possibly be. You're asking a lot from someone. You're asking from someone to constantly be in an energy where they're reassuring you that you are valued, reassuring you constantly that you're this person and that person. But someone can't always be that person for you. That's a codependency that's there. Because that person that you're relying on, sometimes they have devalue in themselves. Sometimes they have down days, down times, down moments. They're humans, you know, we're human. And so when you're looking for that in them and they're not reciprocating that, they're not giving you that feeling of your value, then that could cause some kind of conflict to arise. They're not acting a certain way that you need. It's a codependency that's there, trying to get your value from someone else. See how I'm doing such a good job? Don't you think I'm doing a good job? Aren't you proud of me? That kind of energy is kind of what I'm feeling here. And don't I deserve something? Don't I deserve this? Don't I deserve that? You know, that kind of energy is what I'm feeling. When you're not getting that from the other person, you feel like that's degrading your value. When really that other person could just not be in the best place in general for themselves. And in turn, that makes you upset and you become kind of more in that aggressive nature to where you may snap at that person. You may be maybe you come across as being humorous, but really there's truth behind things, and the other person's catching up on it, but it creates some sort of conflict that's there in relationships. Not seeing that about yourself is a flaw. If you could recognize that within yourself and have at least that self-awareness, not saying that you'd change, just saying that you know it's there, so that that person can recognize that you recognize it, and then when it comes up, you can repair it, instead of just thinking everything's just going to always be 100% amazing, but seeing, okay, I did wrong, okay, you did wrong, and where we went wrong together, repairing it. Okay, what else can you tell me here? Anything else? What else can you tell me? So we have the Queen of Wands. We have the Ten of Wands. There's that burden and that stress. This is the desire that you have in a relationship for someone else to recognize their value here, that Queen of Wands energy. You want somebody that's going to be driven just like the way that you are driven. When someone in a relationship that you're with doesn't meet you on that high vibrational kind of level, that's when you start to feel neglected. And it's not sensible to ask that of someone all the time. Just like you wouldn't ask that of yourself all the time, even though I think that you do, and I think that you kind of let yourself down, and that causes some insecurities. But you have the Four of Wands in reverse. So your whole entire reading is based upon the lack of harmony that you have with being able to have recognition from others of your value, your worth, of what you feel like you deserve. I ask for what I want because I deserve what I want. And not wanting to bend to anyone else's ideas or thoughts about things. Okay, why is the Nine of Pentacles here? The Queen of Pentacles in reverse. You could have had you could look at past relationships as the other person, or the other person you were with, or the other people that you were in relationships with, were always more selfish than you. Like you are always the giving one, or the caring one, or the one that was trying to protect everything, and that person was just being selfish and not giving back to you, and never really fully saw what you were worth to them. And this is a negative mindset of how you're seeing past relationships that you need to kind of change and recognize within yourself. Tell me about the Eight, because it's not helpful. Yeah, look at that, the Star. Striving forward to your hopes and your wishes. It's like, this is the pattern that they're showing me here. And you have the Hierophant, which is the lesson. Then we talked about the Hierophant as well. This is the pattern that they're showing me. Is I'm trying to get this other person to recognize and be on my energy level, meet me at my level about how valued we both are in this relationship. I value you this much, I expect you to value me just the same. And then the Four of Swords in the reverse. And I'm not talking about, guys, I do think you should value the other person, but this is in a more of aggressive way. The Four of Swords in reverse with the Ten of Wands is that stress becomes a burden because you don't feel like they ever really do, but you've never felt that way in your life. And then you not having recognition for not having peace in your life because you don't feel like you're ever kind of having peace or that recognition from what you're giving, the stability that is never really fully grasped, in the connection. And then seeing the other person as being someone that's selfish because they're not offering back to you what you're giving. And so you may kind of that's fine. If that person wants to walk away and they didn't see my value, whatever, then they're just selfish, because I was giving everything in that connection. And then you move on to the next thing, and to finding the next dream or wish that you have. But until you break this pattern and recognize these blockages that you have moving forward, you can't master what it is that you want to birth into the world, that dream, that new world that you have, that you want to birth into being. And I think that you're going so fast into this next new directory that you're not healing these things, and you may be seeing yourself in another relationship that's so similar to this again, because you're not recognizing this value that you've placed on yourself, and how no one else can kind of meet that expectation, but not recognizing that is a thing for you. Let's get some of these. Hope this is making sense, guys. These readings have been really kind of intense. I'm not gonna lie. This is not really what I was expecting. I knew a reading like this was coming. I'm sorry if these are triggering. I know that some of y'all say, I like how honest you are, or how you are, you share like the hard truths, and I just cannot help the way that they come out. I literally cannot help the way that they come out in a reading. It just is what it is, and I apologize if this is triggering for you guys. I don't think you would be here this long if it was super triggering, to be honest. I hope that you hear the compassion in my heart. I don't think this is bad. I think that we're all victims of this mindset. I mean, I do. I think that we all have a sense of this where we were our value as kids, and we get to this place, and it's just the world that we're living in as we're growing up, to see our value outside of ourselves, and there's just always striving for the best, to have recognition, to have attention, to have your needs met where they're not always met growing up. And because our parents are just people too, and they have their own crap, that they have to deal with, and I think that that's lost. I think that we kind of forget that. We all have wounds, that we're carrying. Most of us anyways. I feel like everybody does, or will. Okay, so pile 3. These are called Drive, and these are inspirational quotes. They're kind of funny. Okay, what do you have here for pile 3? Don't beat on a wall hoping to transform it into a door. That's this energy here, guys. You can't beat on somebody hoping that they will see things the way you do, or create that open space where they'll just understand. Some people just don't see things in the same way, and that's okay. What screws us up most in life is the picture in our head of how it's supposed to be. Absolutely. Yeah, you have this image of how things should be. How it's like giving someone a gift and already having an expectation of how they're going to respond to that. And then when that's not met, you're actually upset or devastated or whatever, because that wasn't met. But that's not because of that person. It's because of the expectation you put on them. And you may be someone in relationships that put a lot of expectation on someone else. And when those needs aren't met, and that's not met, and you don't get what it is that you want, you feel like you deserve, instead of having compassion for that other person, or at least, I know there's certain things that obviously that other people are just, they don't do that's right, and that's true. But if this is something that you're wanting to work on, then having compassion for that other person and seeing that maybe they're not in an energy of giving you that at this time. They may not ever be. I love this card. Elevator to success is out of order. You'll have to use the stairs one step at a time. And this takes progress, recognizing these things and acknowledging these things, and not having to just keep that protective energy about you, because it's really who you are. It's just finding that balance that's the thing. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Remember, I talked about that crack in the foundation can be repaired. That's how you know that there's a crack that needs to be repaired. That's how you know that there's something's wrong with this pattern, because it's not changing, it's not evolving, it's not doing anything different. And that's how that light gets to you, to where you see that there's a light there, and you can change that about yourself to make something more stable within. Life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. You cannot find somebody in this world that you can attach to that's going to be everything that you ever desired, and they're going to fix all your problems and do this and that, because they are a person, they're a human. And we make mistakes, we make flaws as humans. It's impossible to have all these high expectations for someone else in a relationship. You have to be able to look at yourself just like that person should be able to look at themselves. And if you want something to change with relationships that you've been in and patterns that you've been in, then you need to make sure that you have to make changes within yourself. These are empowering question cards. What larger entity am I a part of? Exactly. Why is it that you feel so entitled to someone else recognizing the good things about you and not just the negative things about you? Where does that stem from? Think about that. That's something to think about, or kind of write down, because that's what needs to be kind of healed. Okay. What kinds of good and beautiful things am I experiencing in this moment? Yeah, appreciating people for the experience that you do get out of that situation is something that can help you to kind of continue to move forward and change things in your life for the better. What are my best qualities? This is what I'm talking about right here. What are your best qualities? But think about this and write this down. What are your worst qualities? And why are those things beneficial to you in relationships? And the first step is because you see that. You know, that's how we connect with other people, is authenticity. And recognizing that we're not perfect is how we connect with other people. When you are vulnerable and you let down your barriers and you're able to kind of express your flaws to someone else, that's where a relationship is kind of bonding. That's the bonding. That's the foundation. That's the mold in the foundation. That's how things come together and bond. In a relationship is when you let your guard down and you express those inner feelings that you feel lack of with that other person. Opening yourself up in that way is incredibly bonding if you allow yourself to do that. You have to do that with yourself first. In this way, my last day, would I be satisfied with my life? What would I have done differently? That's another thing. That's a really good question for y'all to ask yourself for sure. And then we also have, what does happiness mean to me? What does your happy really look like? What would you want the other person to kind of really be like for you? How would you want that other person? What would, if you love somebody in that, you know, what would you want that other person to be like when it comes to their weaknesses with you? How would you want that person to express those to you? But even if you already know that and you already feel like you do that, do it to yourself though. Because that's, you know, showing yourself compassion and being honest with yourself. I think is really important for you to be able to have self-awareness. Okay, so we'll take that one, I guess. So, you are magical. Dear you, what is true for you? Can you be impeccable with your word? Sure you can, as long as it's not used to manipulate others. The truth can set everyone free. Let go of the results. Let go of your fears and allow the truth to empower you and others. This will set into motion a kind of change that will be supportive of you and loving and all kinds of prosperous. This is not a time to compromise and hide the truth from others. Whatever it is that you want, go for it and be clear in your motives, especially with yourself. You'll be so happy that you did. This is a time where you will tap into the power to co-create and manifest your best life. Doesn't that feel amazing? And the results miraculous. When you tell the truth and ask the same of others, you can learn a lot from the life's bountiful lessons and achieve your dreams. Love you always. This is about you creating this new dream for yourself, especially in love. Changing things for yourself and creating a breakage in this pattern that you've been experiencing. And this whole thing about you being honest with yourself to empower you brings me back to that vulnerability. When you're vulnerable within yourself and honest with your vulnerability by recognizing the moments in life where you have kind of screwed up, or where you've kind of let pride get in the way, or where you've kind of we're just trying to do what's right, but it didn't come across very, very well, even if that's just something you've said. It's just owning up to it. Recognizing that and being truthful and honest with yourself is how you really create that relationship like we talked about. Who am I? This keeps coming up. Who am I? What is true for you? Judgment separates. Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm feeling here, guys. Judging someone else for not recognizing their value, but when it's because it's something that you desire so much from other people. Up until now, so you can change this moving forward in relationships. This doesn't always have to be this way, and you want to kind of, do you want this really bad, is to create something different for yourself. Brilliant. Yeah. Know that that protective instinct that you do have is something that's very cherished. It should be cherished in a relationship. It should be honored in a relationship. And recognizing that within is great. I think that you can see that within yourself about it, but it's not something that everyone sees. And sometimes it's something that they have to learn to see. They see it over time. Value in a relationship or someone kind of should build over time. If it starts to decrease, that's not good. Not good. It should increase. The value of the connection should build, should increase, should become more profound, because the vulnerabilities that you share together should become more profound and intense. The past is gone. Innocent. This is important because it's about your whole reading. Knowing that you aren't completely innocent in situations is something that's definitely here. And trust yourself. And gratitude. Have gratitude for everything that you've experienced up until this point. Have gratitude for the other person's perspective and things. Trusting yourself and knowing yourself is how to trust yourself moving forward. What your motives are. That you mean well. All this kind of stuff. I think that you can come across kind of aggressive, guys, and I think that sometimes other people take that wrong. I think that's important for you because I don't think that you're that way. I think that you actually have a really warm heart, and you really just want to protect the people you love and care about. That's all. And sometimes that can come across in not a good way. So we have six. Which is the Lovers in Tarot. It's also about healing and improvements, making improvements, moving forward. We have M, T, Z, I. There's another 6, or I guess one of these could be 9. 9 is about 66 could be relevant though, so could 99. But 9 is the number of nearing a completion, and I kind of said that is you're fixing to start birthing something new, a new world for yourself, and they just want to make sure that you're birthing that into the best way possible. It's calling me back over here for a second. I resist those who would have me bend to their will. There's a wound here with that, so heavy, about you not gaining respect from someone in your life. Not feeling like you've never had the respect you deserved in your life from someone is a heavy wound here for you, which is part of why you have that armor on. G, and it affects your relationships. G-U-M, gum. Gum might be significant. Maybe chewing gum right now. Z, K, B, J, P, and so there's more here. More to things that you're not seeing. Hashtag, stuff being under the surface. D, F, N, E, Y, I, Disney may be significant for some reason. T, I, A, W, Q, and J. So there you go. Those are all the initials that I have. Yep, that's all I see, guys. I'm gonna hold these up so y'all can see them. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Sorry if it came across really I don't know, I feel like I was really aggressive with you guys, and I apologize about that. I hope that it helps. I hope that, obviously this is a general reading, guys. Not everything here is gonna fit for everybody, but I hope that there was some kind of things that you could take and use them for your benefit in some kind of way. And I hope that it helps definitely moving forward. I do feel like that y'all have a lot of good things coming for you. And this is why this message came across in the way that it did, because they're wanting you to really look at these things so that you can have that best life kind of moving forward that you're wanting. And trusting in yourself that you can get it is definitely something that's here. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you here. Hope you enjoyed it. Good luck to you guys moving forward. And if you haven't voted for my 5-day giveaway, the decks are still posted on my community page, and they're like neck to neck. So if you could please go vote, that'd be awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all your love, all your support, and your kindness as well. And I hope to see you guys soon.